Hey, welcome back to Metropole Grid. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is September 19th, 2024. It's a Thursday evening. Feeling good. How's everyone doing? Montreal crowd is hanging out here. Firstly, Eternal emoji from Santa. Yo, Charlie, what's up? Ben, back to the Montreal crowd. Turtle time, turtle time. Steven, how's it going? You know, it's going to be a good stream when the trumpets hit. That song is like clearly one of the best songs on the playlist. It is very, very good. And anytime it comes up on random, it's an absolute bop. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I like turtles. Hey, John. Turtles are cool. Frank, how's it going? Trumpets, turtles, both have two T's. Coincidence. Lucille is the most bop song in existence. It's quite good. It is quite good. Welcome to a Thursday stream. This one, we had a great stream on Tuesday, mind you. Ba dropped by. We got to talk about some UK national stuff. Mind you, get your tickets sooner than later. They are selling. That is for sure. They are moving. I've been told that since the stream, more people are buying tickets, which is great. And then we played through some World Champ decks on Tuesday. We got to 2014, and it was a really great time. Playing old school Netrunner can be a lot of fun. Trumpets, turtles, Titan, trumpets, turtles, Titan transnational. What does it mean? Today is a deck list I've been really looking forward to playing for a while. It got published, I think, twice. Once as new deck, and now is how to build a reg-ass runner deck. And not only is it a good deck, and not only is it a fun archetype and like an enduring archetype I'm pretty fond of, the write-up that Shu did for this is really good. And so there's a chance that we're just going to do a read-through of this whole write-up. It's not that long, but I think it's honestly kind of the sort of required reading that a lot of people are asking about. Jai, how's it going? Hey, back from Aussie. How was Narm? How was your time over there? I saw some of the results. I haven't looked entirely through them. I know like top of Swiss Mercury is really wild. How'd you enjoy Australia? Were you nice and cold? Also, Jai, we can talk about some merch stuff because I think I got some merch questions for you because I think Jai is the head of the Metropole Grid merch push, which is pretty exciting. Mind you, the World Championship at this point is literally 1 month away. It is about 30 days away. It's literally 30 days away, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even 29 coming in the back half of October. So we have a lot of stuff still to do, it feels like. We need to get all the backlog ready for when we're traveling to make sure the channel has content. Also, today is the first time in a long time, and it feels really good, that I'm actually ahead of schedule. Like, I have content made that is ready to upload. Like normally I'm always just right before to be like, I got to get that export. I got to do the publishing, got to do the thumbnails, got to do the timestamps. And then like, I'm always struggling. It's always like right before the deadline, you got to push the new thing out. But we're actually at a point where stuff is ready and I can just like have some time, which is great. We have a lot of stuff to put out, mind you. We're working through an NPC, of course. It was horribly cold, but got a lot of APAC networking down, which is great. Yo, let's go. Horribly cold is like 15 degrees Celsius, but Jai comes from a different land, that's for sure. I think that sounds ideal. Glad you can make it out. Hopefully you had a good time. So you got some time to deadlock with me? Yeah, that's impressive. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, it feels good. Feels good. I don't think I can play Deadlock tonight. I can't play Deadlock tomorrow night. We had to move date night because I messed up some scheduling stuff. That's gonna be tomorrow with Maddie. So maybe Saturday. I think actually Saturday might work if you're around. I've been playing a bit of Deadlock with Jeff, and also you might know Safer from the SB team. We've been doing a pretty good job. Some people on the internet are really mean to Jeff, but like he just trucks through it. He just, you know, turns the other cheek and raises his chin and says, I'm figuring this out and we're gonna figure it out together. Hey Tom, favorite Deadlock hero? It's really weird because it's not what I expected it to be, but maybe it's actually for a lack of trying. My favorite Deadlock hero is currently Vindicta, who is the first person shooter character. Vindicta Deadlock. She is the lady with no shoes, unrelated, and she flies and she snipes. And they recently changed it so actually if you headshot people, you get more damage. Classically, when I played MOBAs, like I would play the CC character. I would play the characters that go in there up front and tank and do damage and do, you know, get in people's way and stun people and stuff like that. So I recently tried Mo and Krill, and I thought actually that's kind of pretty cool. I could get into that. I probably should play more of that. I think Abrams is a bit boring. Who would be probably the second character that falls into that camp. But I've been enjoying Vindicta. I've been enjoying like the weird ranged characters. I've been enjoying what's the one that now people just call Grandma? White. What's his name? Shit, what's his name? Gray Talon. Gray Talon's really fun. I think Gray Talon's the first hero I played. I'm like, wait, I can do this. I like skill shots. I like flying. Nice, made it from MOBA Talk. Kato, how's it going? I don't know if you got into Deadlock just yet. Only if you like the MOBA genre. Is it worth learning Deadlock? Yeah, it's only good if you like the MOBA genre because it immediately has every single frustration that the MOBA genre comes with, which is the fact that games are 30 to 40 minutes. People can be quite toxic. You can lose a game to not your fault. If the other people on your team are just not carrying their weight, you can lose the game and feel like you might have wasted half an hour and then just totally rage on them in public voice chat like an asshole. You can do that. It's part of the game. It's apparently recommended. Everyone's doing it. But it has a lot of really cool things that are like more interesting than some MOBAs. Like it has a lot of like the shop is in your lane. The jungle's kind of fun. Traveling is pretty fun. There's 4 lanes. There's no assigned roles. So it actually has a lot of cool things that are really refreshing. It's also incredibly skill intensive, both in terms of like your aim has to be pretty good, but now there's last hitting and also denying, but the denying and last hitting is different. Whenever you finish a minion, a little bulb comes out and it has soul and flies away and you have to shoot the soul. And if your opponent shoots the soul, they take the soul at money. So the lane actually is a bit more tricky. It's kind of like Dota in that way, which had last hitting, but it's a bit more fun. The movement system is also really good. Like the game feels good and it has a very complex movement system with stamina where like you can get your momentum kind of rolling. So you can slide, you can jump, and then if you time it right, you can do a slide, and then if you jump out of that, you do it. Like there's some really cool movement tech that is actually very satisfying to get good at, even just like walking around the map. And it's nice when the game is just fun to walk around the map, let alone all the shooting stuff. So it does, as a warning, fall a bit more into the Dota camp of design than the League of Legends camp of MOBA design, where in the League of Legends camp of design, it's League of Legends. You might know what that is. But in the Dota camp of design, people can like lock you down for 3 seconds. Like if you just get out of position, you can just get blown up and die before you can do anything. Characters are really powerful and they can scale really high. And it's the sort of like ounce of prevention is worth 300 ounces of whatever not dying is. It's that sort of game where like knowledge is super, super important. And you can be just incredibly punished for just being in the wrong spot, which can be really frustrating for new players. Like if you are not a good player and you just fail a late game fight because you mispositioned yourself and you just get locked down and stunned for 3 seconds and they melt you, like enjoy your black and white screen for 50 seconds. Like that's not a great learning way, but that's just inherently how a lot of MOBAs are, for better for worse. Not my favorite part of it, but it is definitely has a higher power level. So you have to know what's going on to some extent. Vindictive Deadlock sounds like a Bond movie assassin. Only 2 of you have playing well, and then I'm also only the 2 of you have been playing well, and I'm also there. You're doing all right. We need you. We need you to throw in there. I really like Infernus myself. Infernus was the first character that I that was not nearly correct. It's the first character I tried out when I didn't know what was going on in Deadlock. And my computer wasn't running it very well, and I couldn't tell what was going on, and I didn't feel like I was doing damage, and my build was very bad, and I just haven't touched Infernus yet. Because yeah, Deadlock is so weird but really fun. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Lucy. Content, you say? Yes, content, Lucy. Some content coming up. I'm a lapsed LOL player, so yeah, I'd say I do. Yeah, I think, John, you'd like it. If you want to jump into it one night, I can walk you through it. It's pretty cool. Dynamo sounds up your alley if you want a bunch of CC. I like Dynamo. I think Dynamo is just a bit sleepy. Like, none of his abilities inspire me. His stomp is really good. His, like, heal is... the fact that you can't shoot while you're healing is annoying. His ult is, like, obviously the reason to play Deadlock, to Dynamo, excuse me. But he seemed kind of sleepy. I think there is some high skill stuff with, like, using his his flicker ability to, like, disassociate for a while. And that's really cool. You can dodge, like, stuns and stuff. But overall, he hasn't been that exciting. He seems like the most vanilla character alongside Warden, and I've actually enjoyed Warden a fair bit. I've been Abramsing it up. Yeah, Abrams seems really good. I would like Deadlock if I like MOBAs, but I hate FPSs. That's okay, Jai. It's a third-person shooter. You'll love it. Not yet, but just point me at who's the Pudge and I'll be good. Oh, Pudge is Bebop. Kato, you want to be playing Bebop? Wait, what is a Pudge? Pudge is the big tank guy, right? Pudge, Dota 2. He's the undead tank guy with the hook. Yeah, you want to be playing Bebop. Awesomenauts was the best MOBA. Rip. I think anything will be as good. Edoc, how's it going? Welcome to stream. Isn't Awesomenauts like that 2D side-scrolling one? Like I've never played it. Yeah, this one. I've never played this. There's a lot of games that look like Awesomenauts, like that Ubisoft published fighting game, but I've never played this one. I'm glad people like it. I know there's also that arcade one, like the Killer Bee thing that people like a lot. It's kind of like this. To be honest, I get motion sickness really easily, so probably not for me regardless. Oh, that's Yeah, that's a hard one to deal with. I don't know. I think third-person shooters might be a bit less motion sicknessing giving than first-person shooters. That's my guess. But yeah, there's a fair bit of movement. There's some characters that move less, but sorry about that, Jai. Has a lot of verticality and parkour. Yeah, movement's good. After 10 minutes, souls don't share anymore in the lane. Worth knowing mechanic. Dynamo picture middle left. OP. Oh yeah, when it's a Dynamo OP thumbnail. Sick. He's one of the trick shot characters. Yeah, Bebop is really fun. The robot they named Beep Boop. Awesome Nuts is amazing, but the company that made it went under. Oh, sorry to hear that. I don't know who made this. Ronimo Games, owned by Atari. This sounds like it is Utrecht School of Arts. Utrecht is Danish? Netherlands, excuse me. Ah, bummer. I remember this game. It was fun, but the netcode was bad when I played it. Hey, Meteor. Yeah, I've never played this one, but I've seen it. I remember watching gameplay of it. Looks cool. I don't know, sort of like ability shooter thing where you have you know, your things to do at the same time are always pretty fun. And I don't know, it's like the most compelling thing to some extent. There's so many games that get you on that hook. Like I know I'm so guilty of like falling onto this, and it's like somewhat relevant in Netrunner, but shows up all the time in all these sort of card games we play, where it's like, hey, this is a hero's kit, right? Like this is 419 and the 419 cards, or it's kind of more of a thing in Arkham Horror, where like this is a character and their kit and their unique thing they do. And then like you always think, oh man, that is so cool. I need to collect all of these and then have every single character in this game that I don't play that much. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed the Pokemon MOBA because it was so nice to get the full arc of a MOBA in 10 minutes. Oh, that was the mobile one. I did not play that. I played a bit of like League of Legends on mobile when it was in beta in Canada, and it was like incredibly polished. I feel like there's been a MOBA game I've been enjoying recently that's a faster MOBA game, but I don't know what it is. I feel like I had this weird game that nobody played that I played. I was like, oh, it's pretty good, and it's a faster MOBA, and I totally don't know. Is Restream Bot working? Yes. I haven't seen any Twitch chat yet. No, that's just honestly because the majority of people now that watch the Metropole Grid are watching on YouTube. It's weird, isn't it? It's good to check that it's not working or if it is working. But like over the years, and like not that I advertise the Twitch any more than I advertise the YouTube, but more and more people are watching the Metropole Grid on YouTube than Twitch. It is like 1 to 5. So it is actually just, it's a sleepier night on Twitch for sure. It was on Switch too, where's where I played it the most. Oh, very cool. Monday Night Combat was also a bit similar, but it fell flat. Monday Night Combat. Oh yeah, I played the demo of this. This was on like 360, right? I remember having this on a console. Yeah, 2010. Yeah, this was like the lane-based pushing thing. I like barely remember this. I remember having the demo. That was the 360 area when every game had a demo. It was pretty good, fun. Speaking of 419, how do you feel about cards like the ones in 419 or like Essa or Ob who are obviously dedicated to just one identity? Meteor, I don't think there's actually any cards that I would say are dedicated to just 419. I also don't even think there's cards that are dedicated to Essa or Ob. I think it's an interesting question for sure. And that is something that Null Signal Games has been doing. They actually have a consistent pattern where they will often take a 3-credit econ card and they'll put it with some other additional ability that makes the card more than a 3-credit econ card in that faction. The idea is that Carpe Diem is a 3-credit econ card, but if you're already playing and you know what your mark is because you're playing Sable, it's better than that. Extract is probably the most powerful 3-credit econ card that is cracked in format, which is Extract, which can be a 6-credit econ card if you trash your stuff, which is obviously not really a downside when it comes to playing Op. That's a huge upside. I don't think that's a really big deal. And I actually think what's really cool about ESSA, and this is the thing that I was excited to see, is a lot of the ESSA's cards actually see play outside of ESSA. Not all of them, but some of them do. There are arguably some metas, actually not really, where Marrow could see play outside of ESSA. I don't think that's a true thing. I think I've seen people try Ghost Tongue out of ESSA, and I think that is largely not worth doing. It's just like, you can play Prepaid Voice Pattern, Mystic Miami, it's mostly the same. But like, people do play unironically Finality. And I've even seen Chistushka, like 3 Chistushka Hoshiko is kind of a Tehran classic, but I actually don't think there's that many cards that are locked in super, super hard. And if they are, I honestly don't mind too much. Hey, Cephalopod, what's going on? What happened with the rules today? I've heard a lot of conversation about it, and I haven't fully read the article. But what's going on? You got like a high level we could go through before we read the whole article? Just check the Twitch stream. There's no chat there. Oh, there's Restream chat there. Like, there's no chat box? I see a chat box. Hey, it's me, Twitch. See if that comes. Yeah, you see, I'm there. uh Lemnis Gate was too cool for this earth. It's utterly dead now. Apparently it's dead. Lemnis Gate. Are you just spelling lemmings wrong? You can't chat there? Wait, what? Why not? Tom, did you get banned on my Twitch? I don't know what this one is, Steven. Shutting down July 2023. Sorry if you've liked whatever this is. But I see the messages. I do not know what that's about. That's very strange. If someone can tell me that they can't type, if you're on Twitch and you can't type, I don't know how you're going to tell me you can't Twitch, but okay. Running hot outside of ESA. Diogen, how's it going? Yes, that was a thing. And more so because Running Hot, mind you, was a reprint. Before Running Hot, we had a card with almost identical text called Amped Up, and this existed obviously before ESA. Like, this is very notably the card that did say play outside of ESA because there was no ESA when Running Hot technically existed. Seems fine for me. Okay, thank you, eDoc. Hey, nailed it. Cool. Maybe it would say Falsified is, but I've definitely played Pinhole if it were bad Falsified. So Falsified I really like. Sweet Kate, how's it going, by the way? Is Falsified is a card that I've played in many criminals. It used to be a bit more on meta. And I've actually seen recently people are posting Shaper lists in the current standard format they're running Falsified. Because inherently the idea is if you're playing a Shaper control deck, knowing when and exactly when and for what reason to run the remote server, let alone what to pinhole threading, is probably worth it. I think actually, if I'm not mistaken, Cobra Bubbles was playing Falsified in his lat deck that won Scottish Nationals. If I remember, I will listen to, I think, most of the recap on TMKF. I might have missed the end of it. I think that's a real thing. But like, this is a very good card, honestly. For 2 influence, this is a steal. This is one of the only like in remote exposed cards in the whole game, if not. And getting that on top of a 4-credit econ card, why the hell not? Are you frustrated playing against Moosh and no Shin decks? Falsified Credentials has always been there. Yeah, it's in Cobra Bubbles list. It's cracked though. 2 influence is rough, Tron. It's like, it's okay. I think Shaper can waste influence on stuff or spend creatively. Let's call it that. It's really, really cool. Really, really cool card. I like it a lot. Anarch has the most defined archetypes in its card pool, well above criminals and Shapers. I don't know if I'd say that. I think that's a hard thing to argue. I think criminal is the problem though. Like right now, and this was something that actually came up and was a pretty obvious if you go watch like 2012 to 2014 World Championship decks we played on Tuesday, is that a lot of criminal decks have been the exact same decks since 2012, which is kind of weird. And I think a lot of people get really excited when criminal lists do something different. And it's often identities that play the game entirely different. Like Geist is hella cool because it's a Geist deck. It's like almost its own faction. Currently we have Az, which doesn't seem to be as exciting as Geist for a couple obvious reasons, but Az is still hella fun. And then basically every other criminal you see is some basically version of value-based runner criminal. Like the one we're going to play today, the one that was played in 2014, the one that was played in 2018. They're all just runner-based criminals. And it's not something you actually see in all other factions, right? Like Anarch has ESA, Anarch has like Lou trash decks, there's mulch decks, there's virus decks, there's like value max, there's value Hoshiko. There's a lot of different Anarchs to be played. A Seb is its own archetype in theory. It's kind of Geisty or Azzy. This is Los Erasure? D, come on. It's the same. I'm glad you could come in and say Los because I wasn't going to remember that. But like that's a legitimate issue, I think, with the card pool is that there haven't been that many different ways to play an experienced criminal. And to some extent, there hasn't been a reason to because like run-based criminal was still damn fun. It's been fun in 2012. It's still fun today. Like it's just good fundamental criminal play. It's good fundamental Netrunner. But I think it would be cool if there were more ways to spend criminal. And we always get close to that. Like we get these sort of cards that kind of like, you know, tease you that maybe something is possible, whether it's the Rosetta 2.0s or we're going to be derezzing things like an absolute asshat in Rubicon Switch, right? Criminal has a lot of failed archetypes. Yeah, Criminal had a lot of like very weird defensively gated archetypes, right? Like what's his, like Khan was definitely not it. Khan could have been something, as much as I do think Derez is a pretty toxic archetype. What is the name of the other criminal around here? Well, the two of them. What is the name of the guy who is a con artist? It's Tom. I can type now. Yo, you made it in. Welcome. Crim can be good. We'll all just play Andromeda. Not Steve. The other one. The one who does crypto. Who's the criminal crypto guy? Ability to rewind on YouTube is huge. Yes. Yeah. Watching on YouTube, I get it. Random hot take. Dao should have been criminal. I agree. I think Dao as a criminal would have been such a fun identity. I think Dao's printed text box should appear on a criminal card. Like it is just very, very cool. Thank you, Fisk. Yes. Laramie. there was a lot of cardboard, more than you think, that existed to support the archetype of flooding the corporation with cards. And all of it, besides Laramie Fisk's signature priority event that said everybody draws 3 cards, saw literally no play. Because this identity is very, very bad, specifically because it also overlapped with asset spam meta, and you don't want to give the asset spam meta card more cards in hand. It was pretty bad. But there was like Fisk Investment Seminar, which was actually one of my favorite cards of all time, and I kind of want something like this in the format. It was really, really cool. And then like Terminal Directive came out years later, and it was like, here's a console for Fisk. And it's like, what? Why? This doesn't do anything. So there's been attempts to make other criminal archetypes, and the problem is like the majority of them either don't land or fundamentally are just not as good as playing basic like run-based criminal. So it's been a really hard spot to dig out of, that's for sure. I'm behind on chat. Which are we going to be talking about the real stuff? Are we going to be talking? Yeah, Jai, we definitely are. I think it's important that we understand the real stuff because it kind of matters. I have a brief summary. I shared it with the TO Discord. I think I got that ping pod. I'll read that after I read everything at a highlight. Oh wait, we have a highlights. Hold on. Install and res rules changes. 419 can now expose a card being installed via op. That's actually a significant change. Bummer. Not change. Tranquility still doesn't trigger itself when being installed via op. Okay, that is why did that change? Patchwork, an exploration of Eldritch Horror edge cases that realistically never need to be answered, but players are excitedly wondering if it enables anything. I think it does. I've heard the moshing ruling is kind of weird. I got wrecked in a recent Eternal game where Essa keyholed me with them both amped up and running hot. Yep. Click gaining is really powerful in Eternal. It really is. Lemnis was a hero shooter, but you play one hero at a time in a time loop. So you play X, then play Y, then kill your X, then you play Z to kill their Y. So X completes this loop. Steven, if I'm playing a first-person shooter, I don't want to think that much. Was it fun? Disagree. And our card pool theme is good. Half joke. I don't mind some of the flaws of Crim, but they should be really solved. They should really be solved a little more. I'm not sure what you mean by solved. Mercury's the most defined criminal? No, I don't think so. I think the most defined, I don't even know what defined means, define, but I would actually assume that like Sable is the criminal that everyone looks at and says like, oh, you just play all the Sable cards, it's good. And that's generally what it is. Crim is the survivor of Netrunner? No, Anarch is the survivor of Netrunner. They're the self-damage faction. Crim are importing drip economy and win cons like deep diving. Crim is like importing mostly everything it needs. Let's talk about that in a second. Like let's keep those thoughts in mind because the deck list of the week has a really good write-up talking about deck building in general, let alone deck building criminal. And I honestly think as a criminal deck, you have a lot to import. I honestly think there's a lot of decks right now, like Shaper decks, that you can get away with playing entirely in faction and have enough economy, multi-axis pressure, card draw, all the sort of stuff you need. But if you ask me, a lot of criminal decks need to import parts of all of that. Like literally all of that needs to be imported. Like your influence in criminal is what makes the deck functional. And it's not that criminal doesn't have good cards. It's just like your influence needs to do so much work. Is there even a way to make Laramie Fisk good? They tried. Running HQ and making sure they can't push the remote server, yes. Notably, Laramie Fisk, or technically this was an older card, as there used to be a current that said you can't like install more than one ice per turn. And very importantly, there was a very, very powerful card called Gang Sign. So the idea is that if cards just flood in an HQ and agendas flood in an HQ, they're going to be your agendas. The problem is, I think a lot of corporations were pretty good at dealing with extra cards. It's like, oh, you fired a Rashida for me. Okay. I've always loved the ordering in that card. Very swallow your dessert if you want to eat your veggies. Wait, which card? It's really long. You have to actually read the article. Okay. Was extremely fun. The thing about the moshing trick is you just need to internalize that for multi-step effects, play or install, you decline an additional cost before step A and don't do any step but still pay later. But like Lucille, if you read that sentence at the speed that I read that sentence, it's not simple. To internalize that for multi-step effects, you decline an additional cost before step A and don't do any steps but still pay. Like, you know, sorry, you know, I don't understand. I'll be honest. Maybe it's me. Sable's good cards are just Crim good cards, but with Mark on them. Yes. And I think Mark is really hard to play without more Mark cards. Merc is absolutely the most defined crim. Have you seen their abs? That is very true. But actually, I'd like to counterpoint with Geist's abs. The original criminal abs. Mercury's are better, though. Sable's still run-based econ at the end of the day. I agree, Mercury's the most defined unique. No, oh, if you want me defined by unique, no, come on. It's it's Geist. No. Hey, Alex, is there a future in crim design in Netrunner that would allow weaker cards to see play? Like an Arkham Horror Underworld market for a sidekick of weaker cards, crypto skimming, etc. Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely ways to take weaker cards and make them more playable. There almost always is. And we've actually seen a lot of criminal archetypes that were like that. Like when Geist came out, it was a joke. And then there was a lot of Geist support and like some really messed up Geist support that made Geist tier 1. Like it can't be that simple. When Geist came out, Geist was unplayable for like a year or so. Hey, stream. Hey, Izzy. Hey, Jai. Hey, Izzy. So I think so. I would have to go back and ask what actual cards require a bit more help and a bit more support. I think one of the things right now that like strikes me as criminal needs a bit more support is like criminal in the last set got so many damn shaper cards, right? Like we got not Chrysopian skimming. I should have brought that one up, but like we got things like Physarum Entangler, right? And Physarum Entangler is just not the easiest to play in criminal. Like compared to Shaper, that's access to things like self-modifying code, that has access to things like Simulchip. Like those are all the cards that make Physarum Entangler so much easier to play because you don't have to hard cast it on what's potentially a barrier. You can play it mid-run in a response. Like they're all the reasons why things like also Copulation to me seem so much better out of faction. It's cool to have HQ pressure. It's cool to have the trick ability to steal something. But at the end of the day, the power of Shaper is the fact that they can get this on demand using the toolbox of options that are hard coded into the Shaper card pool. And we've almost seen things like this, like Savoir Faire is a bit too expensive. This was never good. But these are the sort of cards that once these exist, you can start playing the weird Shaper-esque toolbox criminal, I imagine. It says you cannot use this more once per turn, install a program from your grip, right? It's an SMC, but from hand. That could be really cool when you're holding the Chrysopian skimming in hand. Like there's ways to make this card feel more at home because currently it's a bit clunky in criminal. Another one that saw no play as well is Autoscriptor, which says the first time a turn that you install a program, draw a card. Cards like this are engine pieces where you can get away from playing all these like weird incidental too much MU taking up criminal cards because there's a whole lot of weird criminal programs that take up utility, things like bankroll, things like copulation. But at the end of the day, like I have actually lost games because I spent a click installing the Saucy before doing a D-Res combo, right? Like sometimes you just don't have the click to install Saucy. And so I think you probably need some sort of support cards like this because criminal got so many utility programs and they're like one of the worst factions to play utility programs. They can't draw Saucy and feel like they can do a lot with it. Obviously window is good, but like we're almost kind of there. Bravado, but it's the mark. Stack testing, but it's the mark. Hand size reduction, HQ access that scales with the core hand size, etc. would make Fisk ability neat. Yeah, there was that, and there still is. I think Louis Guilherme is in the format. No, yeah, and Louis like reduced hand size. There was Sync Attack, which was another card. Sync Reroute? No, it was called Sync Attack, wasn't it? Sin Attack, excuse me, which was another card that scaled off of like making the corp discard is really hard when you flood them with agendas. Like there was technically support that was imagined up. It's just none of it converted. Hey Joe, if Anarch's thing is self-damage and using grip as a resource, Crim should be allowed to use corp cards as a resource. I agree. And like Copulation's a really good start. In the custom set that I'm hoping to release between Worlds and the next set, we have like a lot more kind of cards like this where it's like I want to hostage the corporation's cards. I want to ransom them. I want to be like, you're playing my game and I'm going to be making money from it. Like I think that's a really cool part. And like I think parts of this last set criminal felt a bit more criminal, but still not enough for me. I want like Arkham Horror criminal. Guys, in the past you have to let go. Never. I'm playing Cube Draft. I'm gonna pick Geist again. Geist is peak fun. Never. I'm a huge Geist fan. I'm a huge Az fan. Like it's still good. It's wild that outside of maybe Sable, Mark, technically there's no criminal identity with card draw on it. No, I think with Az, you're assuming the console's going to come down. So Az technically is a card draw card because Az needs the card draw. But you're right. Like NSG has put card draw on every single Anarch identity besides one. And then criminal obviously doesn't get that treatment. Oh, Geist, mi amor. Ren, how's it going? I want more hardware that makes Q-Loop good. Yeah, imagine like we had something like Az with Masterwork, and then you had something akin to, I wouldn't say Muse exactly, but like Coalescence that was hardware pilled. Like this is Andre every set now asking for a new type of Coalescence. Like that's a meme, I guess. But like if there was a way to generate economy of hardware packages, Geist would be pretty cool because environmental testing is like 3 influence. There's ways to make all these engines like very, very exciting with, you know, minimal additions to the card pool, right? Like they're just slightly short. Seb-related cards don't get much play outside of Seb. No, not yet, but there are some good ones. In fact, actually, most of the Seb cards see play outside of Seb. Yeah, actually they do. You know what? They do. We have to readdress that. Most of the Seb cards actually see play out of Seb. Our Sarah's crew is like very, very good. Hannah is like super on meta. Hannah's great. Iru is like doing work in metas all around the world for some reason. Iru's great. Valentina doesn't, but Valentina's not even that great of a card until Iru's great. Friend of a Friend doesn't, but that's not a surprise. Friend of a Friend is like a workhorse staple piece. But actually a lot of the unique connections from that era see a fair bit of play. Bring back Silencer. I don't think we need a stealth hardware, right? Melandrogem is fun. I'm not a big Melandrogem fan. I think there's a chance that Melandrogem is underplayed, but I think Melandrogem being underplayed is like pretty representative of how people think about criminal decks, where it's like they are so taxed out on slots. And again, we're going to be reading the deck list of the week, that having a card like this is relatively low value when you have access to other cards. And we won't have access to these forever, like Inside Job and Boomerang, where they do a similar thing. 4 credits is a lot when you can spend that to like go get a breaker that is a bit more permanent. Like it's hard for Melandrogem to feel good unless like your access you're making off the Melandrogem right now for 4 credits and having the downside of not dealing with 3 cost strength ice or higher, 3 strength ice. It's hard. It's generally a slots problem. And then it's only reasonable if you're building a deck that probably isn't running breakers and is only running Melandrogem. And that's sort of like the Australian Nationals list we saw. That is a Mercury that's only playing Femme Fatale. And even the author of that deck says, like, I don't think you should do this. This is probably not a very consistent strategy. And it doesn't feel like a consistent. And to me, also, it doesn't feel like a fun strategy. Like, I think that's my biggest downfall with Mercury. And oh my God, he's doing a Mercury rant again. It's like, I don't like the play style of I'm going to Inside Job Centrals and hope that I see 3 cards in R&D and it works out. Because hope it works out is not a strategy I like to bring to a tournament. It does work out more than you think it does, which is the part that kind of hurts me inside a bit more. But it's not my favorite kind of gameplay. Coupulation's awesome. Good versus expensive assets. Good versus traps. It doesn't work against traps, Tom. Gives you HQ pressure. Love that card. Traps fire before Cupulation. Hey, Changeling, how's it going? Evening. Yo, 3 weeks. How you feeling? How are you feeling for the Netrunner crowd to come down to your part of the world to ask you where there's a restaurant they can have vegan food? I've been playing Kulabari. It's so fun. Kulabari looks really good. Library auto scripter with bird breakers with hot jank deck. Oh, the London library setup. I don't think I ever got to playing that. We can totally fit a DSS rant in there. Don't even try. There's another set releasing between now and dawn. No, but I will. Like, my goal is finally get the window between Worlds and Dawn that I have enough time to put together, like, here are 40, 50 cards, whatever. That's a custom homemade set. Nothing to do with nil signal games, not standard legal, not balanced, not even play tested, but just to put out there to be like, if this is a fun thing you want to do over the holidays and you can play this with your friends, you can do it. I don't know what to do with the art because that's a problem. I don't want to use AI art, but I also am not an artist and I can't make art for 50 cards. So I don't know what to do with that. What if Mercury had Insight? Would that be more palatable? But Mercury does have Insight. Mercury has Chrysopian, right? Sort of, but no. Because I think that's my frustration too, is like, I like a deck that can build forward progress, even if the agendas aren't at the top of the deck. You also can't play Insight. You can just play Insight. That's weird. Public domain art time? Yeah, it might be. And like, it might not be cyberpunk art, I'll be honest. It might be whatever I can get. Like, I'll get some classical public domain art. Some Renaissance art. If you could Fenris for Arasana, a lot of these Crim support programs would be much better. Yep, I agree. I definitely agree. Concerto's underplayed card draw as a run for Crims. I was on tape saying that, like, when Concerto came out during a tier list, I thought this was better than it is. And then Jeff very quickly was like, nah, not really. And I honestly don't think this is a very good card. Having the 1 card draw is like, it's fine. But the problem with Concerto comes down to, when do you play it? Say that you have an overclock. When do you play it? If you look at your corporation deck, or sorry, your runner deck, what is the most expensive card you have in your deck? Most criminal card decks, they don't have expensive cards in them. They have maybe their breakers, they have sure gambles, a class act, and that's it. Like, the most expensive is 4 to 5 credits. It's already a deck that doesn't play overclock. So do you want to play a conditional overclock that somewhat draws a card, but probably gives you much less money than an overclock? The answer is no. because it's not very good on turn 1 because you can't really use the Concerto credits on turn 1 or turn 2. So you're just playing run, draw a card, which like Jailbreak doesn't even consistently see that much play. I don't get it. I think maybe like if you're playing this in As and you have a way to use credits no matter what at any speed, because you can always Masterwork or Q loop. And even that doesn't make sense because if you're playing a Masterwork or Q loop list, you're probably playing a lot of hardware, and hardware is relatively cheap. You're playing a lot of 1-cost hardware in that As deck. So Concerto doesn't make a lot of sense. It is just way too conditional. These are the sort of cards like Chrysopian, Skimming, and Concerto that I wish there was an ability to print these on demand. Like I wish I had a console that said click, draw, Concerto, right? Like, what about the violin case could make you a Concerto token? Obviously, that sounds cracked, but like that's the sort of thing is like this has a very narrow setup that having this in your deck, like if a Concerto hits a Concerto, it's also so bad. I don't know. It's very, very hard to make this feel better than like a Baya Bands, let alone any other card. Dream Diary, Essence of the Dream style? Exactly. I think that's a cool way to make these cards that are underplayed like Concerto and Chrysopian Skimming seem kind of valuable, where like you can produce them on certain board states and they're just not good enough to be a card in your deck, it doesn't feel. Crim needs a better weapon to get with Pool Out. Yeah, that's a cool way to help Crim too, get more criminal weapons. I'm way behind on chat. Love to see an idea akin to York from AH where you would trash something, you pull it and card from your bin. I think Ren, that'd be pretty scary. Try it just like on Paris seems bad on paper, but it's actually fun and fairly good. I've seen you play Concerto, Diogen, in like replay reviews, and it's always been the worst card. Like, I think you like it, but I've never seen it been like, well, that was actually worth the slot. I can try it at some point, but it's just like, it's not doing anything really for you. Call back to the classic Crim card of Literally Just a Gun. Literally Just a Gun should have been a better card. I hate to break it, but you're not going to like next week's deck of the week. That's okay. Next week, Jai, it's startup week. We planned this. We're gonna play startup next week. We don't have to do the deck list of the week. We don't have to. It's cool. I've never seen Sin Attack before. Hey, Lollings. A Sin Flood is a real thing as cybercrime. It's a type of DDoS attacks. Yeah, it actually is a very thematic card. I remember looking into what it meant. Oh my god, spoilers. I didn't spoil anything. I said 1 week we're gonna play startup. They spoiled nothing, Dwight. I don't know what you're talking about. Boys Inside Bad. Imagine that instead of indexing. Tehran, you want him for a history lesson? Insight was actually a meta force for about a month and a half. When this card came out, one of the strong combos that somebody would do is they would play Insight. The Corp would rearrange the top 4 cards of R&D. You were a Shaper. For no cost, you'd play Top Hat, and then you would just mad dash R&D. If they didn't have a shuffle effect, and we're in a world before op, there weren't a lot of shuffle effects, you would just run R&D and say 4, because they put the agenda on 4 with a mad dash, and you would win in 2 axes. You'd play the most boring control deck and close every game off with Top Hat Insight. I actually think if Top Hat existed, people would consider Insight modernly, but it was genuinely a playable card in the standard format at a high level. Pretty wild. Andre, what card sleeve brand would you recommend? I am not sponsored. But the only card brand sleeve, it depends what you're doing. If you're trying to sleeve cards to bring like to a tournament, like a Netrunner thing, Dragon Shield matte sleeves, period. Now, there are some caveats. This is getting more complicated of a recommendation. Firstly, try and get the ones that are the matte backed ones. I forget what they're called, but there's, hold on, I can get a prop. I don't have the prop, but you can buy some that are that have the inner backs so that the sleeve itself, the back of the sleeve. Oh, these are ones. You see how the back of the sleeve is black? Well, this is the colored side of the sleeve that will be visible when you shuffle. So you take a card and you put it in here. And if you have the black back, it means that you can't get any bleed through. So if you have problems because you have different card backs because you've been playing Netrunner for a long time, these ones that have the black back are the ones that I would recommend. I think they're called matte dual sleeves, dual with a A. Those are the ones I'd recommend. These are very good. Now, if you get the other ones that don't have dual sleeves, like I bought these lightning ones, these are also dual sleeves. I don't recommend buying yellow or white sleeves. They just kind of get gross fast, but those are also pretty okay. I like Dragon Shields a lot. I do want to say that recently I've had some problems with Dragon Shields. I've never had problems with Dragon Shields in my life where I've got boxes and it's usually only one color. This one magenta color has problems where they're just cut wrong. Like you'll get a sleeve that is slightly too big and you can tell when you're shuffling. I've never seen quality control with Dragon Shields in like the decade I've been using Dragon Shield sleeves, but I have started seeing it now, and I'm a bit suspicious. I think I've only seen it on one color. There's also been one color that consistently has had a color mismatch, where I've been to tournaments and someone's using the same sleeve, and then you can tell like your sleeves are slightly different colors, and they're not marked. There's just like, that was a batch where the cards were like quality control problems. But Dragon Shield sleeves are really, really tough. I've broken like only a couple of these in my life. I'm gonna do it for the sake of it. Like tearing this like requires a lot of effort. Like I need to really mess this up to tear it. It is technically possible, but they last a really long time. Dragon Shields are great. Thank you for coming to my ad. They will pay me, I hope. I don't know what the MTG playtest card art is like, eDoc. Doesn't draw it adds to your grip so it doesn't waste your class stat trigger? Yeah, I guess not. Feels like it's a product of the old Netrunner where the cheapest card in the deck is 4 credits. I tried to make a deck where Concerto makes sense, career fair resources, and it just doesn't work. Yeah, it's really hard. Love's just a gun. New improved fixed startup. What decks are we thinking of brewing? Lucille, I don't know what you're talking about. Concerto would need a play with top card revealed ID to really work. Yes, Robert, that is the shaper in my custom set, is the sort of Gandalf play with the top of card of your deck face up. And that becomes a really fun ability. If there was a way to know the top of your deck, Concerto would really feel fun, and also you'd feel a bit more clever playing it. And I think that's the problem with Concerto, is it's hard to feel clever playing it. Always do a double take when my name gets highlighted when someone mentions Jailbreak. Maybe I'll build a startup deck and try to hop in for a game next week. JK, it would be my absolute pleasure. I have not played Liberation Startup, so I'm going to need a bit of help. Dual Mat, thank you. Thank you. Hey, Oren, the brief Melandrogem chat had me inspired to build some wild jank with Padma, Melandrogem, and a Monkey Wrench crew, something to lower ice strength. I tried to play some Melandrogem. I've actually got rolled by like Melandrogem. Just, I'm going to send it R&D every turn, cataloger Padma. I think it can work. It's a cool breaker suite because it is frustrating to deal with. It is genuinely hard. I've not used katanas, Slopper McGee, but people do like katanas. Ultimate Guard katana sleeves are good. Katana gang, let's go. Wow, everyone uses katanas. You can see through dual dragon shields in certain lighting. Dual mats are great. Yeah, these are dual mats, the one I ruined. I've not had problems with bleed through these. I also still sometimes double back my cards, but I have problems. I use dual mats, and even with a white back, you can't see through them. Yeah, payment inbound hashtag sponsored. Wasn't there something with Oracle May that lets you look at the top? Oracle May, you could guess. The card that lets you look at the top of the deck is no longer in standard. It is called Motivation, and it was never seriously played. Some Oracle decks liked it, but this is when your turn begins. You may look at the top card of your stack, and even then, it's not great with Concerto. Yeah, Motivation. Okay, let's get back on track. Great talk. We've been here for a bit. We're going to do a reader. How many people have read this write-up? Because you should read this write-up. It's a really good write-up. It's really well written. Mind you, Erin, if you don't know, from the narrative team in Null Signal Games, she does writing, more so like narrative writing. You can hear her. When's the last time Null Signal Station's put out an episode? But she was on Null Signal Station reading her article in like the last episode, the one that she wrote for Ampere, like 2 years ago at this point, which is, it's a great thing, and great to hear her read it as well. But she did a really good write-up talking about like construction of decks. And I think this is probably required reading for players who are getting to the game, because the question comes up a lot, like how do you build a Netrunner deck? And a lot of folks, myself included, will have some vague fundamentals. And there's some really nice language here, even with some numbers attached to them to make it a bit more structured, which might be a nice place for newer players to glom on. But the ideas are pretty strong. They're quite strong. Are we reading this? It's quite long, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't read it. I just want to ask how many people have taken the time to read this, because it's really well written and talks about how she builds a deck. I was trying to avoid this deck for a while because this kind of spoils a bit of like the footage we're working on. If you can like forget about this in a couple of weeks, that'd be pretty great for the narrative of the channel. So just like don't remember. I'll just do this. It's just like a deck that was played somewhere pretty well. She mentioned that there is a game that she plays, and yeah, we have that on record. It's pretty good. It's a really great write-up. It is really, really quite good. So this is an archetype. It's pretty enduring. It's an old archetype. It has some new flashy cards in it. Also, Harmony AR Therapy is in it, but it's a 419 list. I quite like 419. 419 has been pretty good for a long time. 419 slows down corporations, and any corporation that's a bit greedy, you can tax them out a bit. Because either they give you their secrets, and sometimes their secrets are even more valuable than just that information, or they have to pay credits. And if there's corporations that don't have a lot of money in their coffers, like some of the PD decks can have econ issues. If you get them early and you pressure them down and they don't draw the YDLs or the Regoliths, whatever they're playing, this can be a very valuable ability. It says the first time the corp installs a card each turn, you may expose that card unless the corp pays a credit. understanding what their ice is gives you a lot of power. Originally, when 419 came out, I actually didn't think it was a very good ability because I thought most high tier players actually knew what the ice they were expecting and they were face checking with that in mind. However, it turns out knowing what the ice is obviously very, very powerful. And then on top of that, we have Aumakua, one of the best AI breakers in the format, which is a sentence that there's a lot of really good AI ice breakers in the history of Netrunner, but this is definitely one of the good ones. This has no strength, but it gets 1 strength anytime you access or you breach and don't steal or trash, or a card gets exposed. So it's not so much that they know that that's the gatekeeper you put on R&D, because you probably know it's the gatekeeper they put on R&D. You saw it on HQ last turn. But more so, if they don't pay that credit, Aumakua goes up 1 strength. And once Aumakua gets really high on strength, great. You break every single ice in the format for subroutines, which is obviously a huge steal. Not only is that cheap, you don't need to go find your breakers. Then you don't need to start interfacing, because a lot of the criminal breakers are actually not that good at breaking ice, it turns out. So they actually have to pay. And what I've been really, really tickled about 419 is that swap is install rule, monkey's paw curls, is that there's more than ever corporations are installing cards on the runner's turn. And once per turn means the runner's turn and means the corp's turn, which means things like Tattoo Bola, they have to pay a credit or you're going to get that Aumakua counter. Things like a Blade of Barrier, I'm mostly naming criminal cards. All this stuff fires consistently, and it means 419 gets a fair bit more value, which is kind of sick. I believe the only icebreaker pointed in Eternal. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's probably true, huh? Cool. 419 got buffed by a rules update. Yes. 419 now fires when op installs cards, which, like, I'm only kind of upset about that because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I have to just trust the rules boffins who figured that out. But, like, that is a pretty big change. Oh, I said rules boffins. Cror's here. Hey, Cror. Cror's more an organizer, I guess. Weakening Tattoo is actually way more valuable than it sounds. Yeah, it's really good. Weakening Tattoo is pretty good. Every tattoo is now a 3 credit econ card. Also, a lot of people don't like playing against 419. And I think the last time we played against 419, we very specifically showed some of the play patterns that you have to change how you play when playing against 419. Because one of the classic play patterns of Netrunner, install something credit circa 2014, is not very good against 419. A lot of turns you want to batch install because 419 only pings you on the first time you install. So if your turn is just credit, that's fine. If next turn is install. Because on any turn that you do install, pay a credit, like your turn is pretty bad. So you want to be always double installing every turn as possible. I am all powerful, rules, organizing, OP policies. I know it all. Brackets, I do not know. It's been a long-standing inconsistency between the 2 rulings and one rulings or the other had to go. But this is the least fun one, right? So this deck is sick. It runs on Mining Accident. We have published a deck list in the past in our Alphabet series about 419 with Mining Accident. And Mining Accident can be relatively easy to fire. Whether you're paying this just so the corporation loses 5 credits on some board states, that's actually relevant enough. But on the best case, you're getting a bad publicity. And bad publicity goes really, really far. If you get 1 bad publicity and you have 1 Chesva, you are running basically most central servers for free because that's 3 credits. 1 bad publicity reduces the trash cost of functionally every asset and upgrade in the game. That's super, super valuable. And if you get 2 bad publicity, you just look at your JNet stats at the end of the game. It is so goofy because you get 2 credits for every damn run. That is so much money that you can go pretty far with only Mining Accidents. It also has a slow economy of Mystic Miami. Hey, kind of a staple now in criminal decks because they have no way of generating long-term value besides this and Chesva. And so Mystic Miami, when you're playing 26 events, is just very, very powerful. Shout out also to Reprise being really good because it fires on Mystic, and this is just a nice way to upset the board. Cards like Hermes, cards like Reprise, all these cards uninstall cards, and that's really big when installing cards is a pain point against 419 because it costs them extra money because of the expose clause. And you generally, when you're playing Aumakua Criminal, it's all about like breaching a hole. It's about finding your window of opportunity. Okay, they can't res on archives, so I can farm turtle off archives. Now they have to defend archives. Okay, now I'm going to pressure HQ to diversion. Okay, they dealt with diversion. Now I'm going to run R&D. They can't purge because they don't have money. Because if they purge out, I can still run R&D. Like, criminal aggression is so fun because it's always about like skirting through the defenses and figuring out what is my mark this turn, what is my target, not actually mark, and then making money off of it. Falsified Maiju exposes, so it gives you Aumakua counters, which is great. Of course, we have Diversion, we have Biobands, which works well with Chesva. You just need a bit more card draw. I think the multi-access in this deck is a bit soft. It's a single Waken Plant, which it's a very powerful card, and a lot of turns, if you can get into HQ cheaply, run HQ 3 times is a pretty reasonable turn when you're trying to build your Aumakua counters. And then, of course, Dockland's Pass gives you a bit more punch there. You have Boomerang, you have 2 Class Tech 3 Earth Rides. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel like I'd probably want to play 3 Class Act. It's just a really good card in the meta because it beats a lot of kill decks that want to combo kill you. And the other copies of Class Act are never totally empty. You can always install them. It does something. And Earthrise Hotel, draw 6 cards. We need as much card draw as we can get in Criminal because there's literally no card draw in this deck besides Class Act in the Criminal faction, which is pretty rough. Harmony Air Therapy, this one's really weird. Aaron swears by this as a way to get more value back into your deck in the mid game and a panic button if you lose your breakers, which I understand that. I don't really like this card unless you have really good card draw because a lot of board states, especially if you play this early, like don't play this early. It just adds cards back into your deck and you're not going to draw your whole deck, so it doesn't feel like it changes the game that much. But it's a nice security valve. If you have this in your opening hand, yeah, that's not great. But there's definitely some use cases for this. Pinhole Threading is also very good. Hey Lucas, my friends and I have just moved from SG starter decks to the full SG only card pool. With the limited card pool, what are some tips you have for deck building? Ooh, great question. We're going to side rail this because that's always a fun question. What I like for deck building, just play Ashen. I don't think you can play Ashen because you don't go through your whole deck. So deck building, Lucas, in System Gateway is relatively simple because almost all the cards are very, very good. What I would recommend, 2 things. Firstly, on the runner side, play as much economy as you can. Just play as much economy as you can. You can't have too much econ into your deck. Play some good economy. Another card, and mind you, read the deck list of the week if you can. It gives you some really good ideas on how the deck build as much as you have a limited card pool, is that in System Gateway, you want to be playing cards that allow you to see more cards. So if you're playing the Criminal deck, play Docklands Pass. A lot of people call these cards a win condition, but you want to have a way to run central servers and see more than one card. It's really hard to win the game of Netrunner if you're only seeing 1 cards. And in System Gateway, if I'm not mistaken, Docklands Pass is the good option. Conduit is one of the best options. I almost always will spend 3 influence or 4 influence on a Conduit in any deck I'm playing in System Gateway, regardless, especially if you're playing Xayah, because it works off of Xayah's ability. And then if you have slots for Jailbreak is really good. But don't build a runner deck that doesn't have enough ways to see more than 1 card, because otherwise it's expensive. It's hard to win. You just don't see enough cards. You need to see about 17 cards to win a game. Make that as easy as possible. Otherwise, play economy. Just play as much econ as you can. Try and play 2 of each breaker type that you want to play. So if you're playing this Sweet Cleaver Buzzsaw, play 2 of each. Fermenter is a really good economy card in startup because it's good money, and the corporation doesn't often have time to purge, which is really quite nice. And you can't really go wrong. A lot of the System Gateway starter cards are just runner cards are very, very good. On the corp side, it's a bit trickier. You don't have that many options for agendas, but when you're building your agenda suite, play the minimum agendas you can. Generally, you want to be playing 44 cards in your 40 card minimum deck. That's generally what the accepted best practice is, because the idea is that with PD, it's a 40 card minimum. So you can play 44 cards without having to play more agendas. So most people play a 44 card deck with 18 points of agendas in their deck. Technically the most defensible agenda suite, and I'm not sure if this is the best practice, so this might actually be not worth worrying about. Nah, don't worry about this fact. Just make sure that you're putting agendas in your deck that help you score to 7. So a lot of times I'll play all the 5 threes I can, which will be send a message, and then you play all the 4 2s you can, and then if that doesn't take you up to 18 points, just play the 1 or 2 copies of the 1-pointer you have to in System Gateway. Put more economy in your deck than you think you do. Splash for economy if you can. Nico Campaign is really good in PD. I think PD is the easiest System Gateway ID to pick up. It's just very smooth to play and encourages you to do anything. Seamless Launch is the best card in all System Gateway. Play it. It's very, very good. Ice is really good as well. Brawn is one of the hardest ice in the entire format to break, as long as Pharaohs. I generally want to take a big barrier and always put it on my remote server and score behind it. Brawn is really hard to deal with. Pharaohs is really hard to deal with. Big barriers are good. And then you want to put the more annoying, smaller stuff often on central servers. So things like Tithes and Karunas and whatever you have there. Stuff that doesn't end the run often goes on central servers. Anoretic Void and Managarm are your defensive upgrades. Those are also very hard to deal with in the format. They might feel unfair as a newer player, but getting a defensive upgrade and an agenda in the remote server behind one big ice is usually a scoring plan in System Gateway. I'm always using it as a corp. I'll keep this in mind. Yeah, corporation, I think is a bit harder because you can stumble upon a win as a runner. It's hard to stumble upon a win as a corporation. So as a corporation, remember, you don't need to ice everything. The goal of the game is not to make everything impenetrable. If they can get into HQ and they spend 3 credits to get an HQ to have a 1 in 5 shot on the agenda in your hand, who cares? That's fine. They have to take that time. They have to take that risk. You want to make your remote server harder to get into, and centrals just have to be hard enough to be annoying. You never have to make anything bulletproof. Look at the runner's credits. If they don't have a lot of credits, that's probably a scoring window. But if you put in the remote server, you put like a Managarm Skunkworks, like this card on top of an agenda, and you have a Brawn, you're probably in a pretty good spot. And just be a bit more aggressive, install the agendas, seamless launch to score them cheaply, bring the seamless launch back, splash some Hansei reviews, get some more money in your deck, play some predictive planograms, get some more money in your deck, just get some more money in your deck. And System Gateway, it's actually hard to build a bad deck. It's kind of hard. Almost all the cards are independently good. Regolith Mining License, by the way, is like, if you think this is a bad card because it's a neutral card, just put this in every System Gateway deck as a 3 of. If you get a Regolith off, you probably have enough money to be good. You want to make Centrals expensive, not necessary, impenetrable? Yeah, make them expensive. Don't make them, like, also, you don't have to ice them out on turn 1. Like, if you can put something in the remote server and make the game about the remote server, you can let R&D open for a bit. You don't have to ice it up. Don't worry about icing up everything. Off-World Office, great agenda. Yeah, this is one of the best agendas. Off-World Office is really good. So I'd often play, like, 2 Send a Message. That's 3/6. 3 Off-World Office, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Probably another Send a Message, 13, 14, 15. Then an Orbital and a Superconducting. Whatever, it'll be fine. I think I missed the Luminal in there. Thanks so much. Your videos are the best. Keep up the amazing work. Lucas, Dave, thanks for the kind words. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear how your games go after. But yeah, it's System Gateway is like just such a very, very good core set to learn to play because every faction is like very relevant. All the cards kind of encourage you to do the thing they want you to be doing anyways, which is good. Hey, Sock Monkey, I took a startup deck to a standard play group, actually did okay, although I felt kind of bad not to have all the tricks available. I hear you. And I do think there's cards or decks in startup that are actually very viable against standard decks. I think there honestly are. If you want to start and just proxy 1 or 2 cards, that's a really nice way. Again, proxying is legal. So if you just want to take your startup deck and go to whatever local printer you have and print out 3 copies of Rashida Yahim and put them in your deck, you're already like 90% there to probably a standard deck. It's just is one of the only FFG cards, as much as there's good NSG cards outside of startup right now. But keep at it. Maybe if you want to make it approachable every week, like add another FFG card or add an old NSG card to your deck that people recommend and just like slowly build that collection of proxies if you can. Outside of Rashida, was missing from startup PD? Almost the whole ice suite. Almost a lot. Like a lot. Like Gatekeeper, Drafter. Border Control is pretty common. Well, you can look at Sword, but it's a fair bit. It's mostly ice though. Like Drafter, Gatekeeper, Hagen. Blade of Barrier, MIC. It's fine. Proxying being legal is so wild compared to other card games. Praise be. Yeah, it is a really big deal to understand. You can always proxy cards. Brown is the best ice in System Gateway because it's arguably the best barrier in the game. From my understanding, Pharaohs is also really good in the limited format because it is just hard to deal with Pharaohs. But yeah, Bronze almost always good. You can replace Border Control with Tattoo, I feel. You could. It's not Border Control. Oh, you have a Blade of Barrier. It is in startup, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Ice quality startup PD loses to Central's hard. Oh, that's cool. That's something we're going to find out next week, I guess. Whoops. Yeah, but I can imagine that being the case. Also, you don't have a really good 5/3, right? Like, you have Ikwa, and Ikwa is a very good 5/3. I'm not sure if you play Send a Message. Maybe you do. Any side? What? Wait, where's my deck? What's going on? Oh, if it's not Shoe Flower. She has written such a good deck list, and it's not even letting us pick her deck. Her write-up is really good. I've been saying that already. Looks like I'm in time for Games Moldoro. Just in time. I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to leave the lobby. Runner. Standard. Jaina today has been, like, not that great. Okay. The swap side button's right there, but it didn't even let me pick a deck. Like, it wasn't I was on the wrong side. The select deck button just wasn't there. I was coming in to check that you correctly singing my praises. No. Would you expect anything else? Why 2 class act? I made an any side lobby? Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Oh, if you're on any, it doesn't show you. Okay, good to know. I've never done that. It would let the person joining decide which side they're playing. Oh, chivalrous. Not in my court. Good night. I wish you an enjoyable stream. Good night, Vishal. Thank you. I wish you an enjoyable evening. Thanks for dropping by. I don't know if that's a greeting good night or a good night good night. Technically, both are acceptable. I really like this game plan. Like, I just like playing Aumakua right now. Now, obviously, there's some bad matchups. Like, Mavirus is gonna be a problem. It's hard to face check when you think there's a threat of a Mavirus in their mode server. You have to flush it out. And then if they're Jai and they keep recurring the Mavirus over and over again with the powers that be, that is a frustrating matchup for sure. I'd recommend swapping the pinholes for Carpe Diem. No, I love pinhole. Really? Pinholes? Or do you mean falsifieds? Because I like both of those cards so much more than Carpe Diem ever could be cool. It was a greeting, excited for Netrunner action scene. Okay, Vishal, let's go. Plug in. Mausoleum Mercy. I do not know this name. This is where like we get really, really worried about like Smurf time, because it is that part of year where people are like testing in secret. 44 card built to last. If it's Rush, we're happy. If it's Glacier, I don't want to play that. Thanks, you too. Opening end's like pretty sick. I don't think we're going to get a mining accident on turn 1 unless we face check and he reses. But we can do like sure gamble, run centrals, SDS drone deployment. We're expecting to be in this deck is pretty bad. But we have a class act into Earthrise and some money. I think this is fine. Hey Deadman, I hate to double back on Dragon Shields, but I'm working in a gaming warehouse for the past 4 years, and I've seen some odd stuff from Dragon Shield, like totally wrong sleeves and boxes and whole cases being wrong. For real. I wonder if they're having a quality control problem, because I've also recently been like, this can't be right. Like, it feels like it's slipping a bit. I hope it doesn't. Doesn't hurt to open up in the shop and show the store if something's wrong. Okay. I don't know if I'd be upset if I opened it and I got like a random color. Like I honestly, one thing I do care about is when I buy sleeves is I almost always try and buy sleeve colors that are not like just red and blue, because I think the more likely I am to play sleeves that are of a color that most other people are not playing, the more less likely they are to steal my agendas. Would you recommend someone playing this on New Zealand? New Zealand Nats is tomorrow. Whoa. Yes, totally. Yeah, it is a fun deck. All right. Our opponent mulliganed and opened into a Spin Doctor. That is not a great start for them often. We can get a bit of information about HQ. The reason why we want to deal with the Spin Doctor is for Audacity, but a diversion here would be pretty sick. Someone in my shop ended up getting undercounted, which is super strange, for normally there's a couple extra. There's almost always a couple extra. And one thing I really like about Dragon Shields is that the box is like an actual storage vehicle. It's not just like a wrapper that you throw out. I think we run HQ here. Get a read. It's 2 hedge fund starts pretty good into us. Business as usual is strange. I want to get a bit more of a read of the deck. SDSs are totally safe. They probably have an agenda in hand, right? They didn't filter. Oh, that's weird. I'll just do that. So 2 doofs is a good start. Pinhole and Sure Gamble and Abaya. I think we'll definitely take... We can't actually land 2 diversions unless they ice up HQ, which they probably are going to ice up HQ. All of my Doom Time decks are in the respective sleeve box. Let's go. Dragon Shield doesn't have the greatest quality control, but their support is real nice if you have issues. Okay, Frank. If only that was a carpet, yeah. I roll in our archives mark. What am I doing with it? Hey, Jason, I've also heard Dragon Shields have had quality problems. Oh, wild. Okay. I store so many Misk Arkham components in Dragon Shield boxes. I have ones labeled dupes, clumes, keys, and customizable. I use them. So most board game boxes actually fit like 4 Dragon Shield boxes sideways and like the standard Calyx fixing box. So for games like Arc Nova that have a lot of cards and I sleeve them in Dragon Shields, it's a really nice organization method where I just pull out all the Dragon Shield boxes, open them, and they're like a nice ways to store cards because I don't like Ziploc bags. It's nice that it's like, here's some premium quality, more expensive sleeves than they have to be. Obviously, they're nice. And then you have a storage container. It's good. Last question. Hey, no, what are some mind games to bait the opponent to run my Urtica Cypher? Every time I put it down, they never go for it. That's a hard thing to do. If you're getting really into the card pool, one of the best things you can do, and you can train, it's a hearts and minds on the table. You can train your opponent to learn to respect your Urtica. And what you do is you keep advancing it. So in System Gateway, there's a card called Neurospike. And the idea is that in System Gateway, and there's also a card called Clearinghouse, okay? So the idea is that in the format, there are actually cards that your opponent has to run. So if they don't run your Urtica, one of the things that you can do is you can do Advance. And the idea is that next turn, if that's a 5-3 agenda, you score the 5-3 agenda, and then you do Neurospike, and that does 6 damage. Your opponent has to start to respect that, and the only way they'll respect that is if you build a Jinteki deck that actually does that to them. The other thing you can do is you can do advance, and then next turn it could be a clearinghouse that could do 5 meat damage, and if they have more than 5 cards in hand, it could do more when you continue to advance it. So honestly, one of the best things you can do to a player who's not running your stuff is continue to advance it confidently. However, you might have to make them understand that Neurospike and Clearinghouse are cards in the card pool, which might make them have to take 1 or 2 to the face first. But honestly, one of the best things you can do to failed traps is continue to advance them. It's a Hordem. Okay. 18 cred swing turn. I mean, it was okay. We got okay money. We didn't draw, so we wasted our class act value. I just talked through the double dupe. I'm like, I'm just going to double dupe. It's fine. All you need for them is to see 1 clearinghouse to get in their head for the rest of the game. Yes. Yeah. They just need to be able to respect it. Advancing this is like not that big of a deal if it's a Hordem. Now, this is a Hearts and Minds, which we'll probably deal with. So what do we want to do this turn? We want to touch cards. If he reses a Hordem, it is 4 credits, but if we don't res it, he might be on a Trickle Light deck, which kind of makes sense. So we want to trash this. We want to run the Spin Doctor. We want to run R&D. We don't really need this gamble. Let's start by going R&D and just seeing cards. Def kill the Hearts and Minds. Yeah, I will. I want to get a Hermes before we touch, because if we bounce this ice, it's really, really bad for our opponent. We've done enough work, but the diversion is going to be really good. Install a card. We'll install the Earthrise. It's a Pharaohs. So the problem is if we bounce off the Hordem, Mausoleum reses it for 3 credits, and then he can still dodge the mining accident. I think we can get a guaranteed mining accident. It might actually be worth playing right now. I love that Andre didn't even pause his rant to double dupe. We've all been here before. So we'll just trash Hearts and Minds because it's Hearts and Minds. I don't feel like we need to trash the Spin Doctor right away. I'll gamble, I guess. We know the top of the deck is whatever I touched there and forgot it was a Pharaohs. So there's some actually reason to pressure HQ, because if we pressure HQ, then our opponent can't do credit into government subsidy, which there's 2 more in the list. That means we've restructured or poorly structured the turn, but I think we actually probably should put the pressure on. This is where I don't know, because like we do lose some value if our opponent reses this. Mining accident to doof, you'd rather do it the other way. You want to do doof into mining accident. So I'm just going to gamble, and then, oh, we have a click left. Don't worry about that. See, Aaron, why do I want to draw this? This is not a good card to draw here. Also, this menu is stuck up. We should challenge the Hordem because of the Pharaohs. I'd actually rather him res the Pharaohs, and then we can get the mining accident off, and then we can bounce this with the Hermes. It's fine, you baby. I think it's fine, you baby gets away a lot of like strange deck building criticisms. It's fine, you're being a baby. It's like, I don't want to draw this. It's 3 influence. I want a diesel. I think the Harmony is a tech card. I think it's like a if things go bad card. Okay, at least that killed the menu. That's good. I have Harmony Arm on my Stim Implants deck because I lose a good card, but I'm not even a big fan. It's a Pharaohs, okay. They tree lined the Pharaohs, so it's 10 strength. So now if they res the Pharaohs for some reason, oh, we get the Hermes. Let's just be as rude as possible. Do we install the Cat's Cradle? And then they res the Hordem? You have an Earthrise down, you don't want to draw a Diesel? No. Like, we have Reprise. Like, we're going to destroy this board state if we find an agenda. I will send our Cat's Cradle to the, from the cradle to the grave if we can steal an SDS here. Oh, shit. It's so bad for our opponent. Oh, it's so incredibly bad. Oh, it's so bad. I feel bad. I feel very bad about this. This is why we didn't run HQ. We still could have done it. We're going to hit a Hordem, though. Patrick, this is punitive. We're safe. Be cool, don't die. This is so good to me, I know. Here comes the floor routine of Hermes and Reprise. It is just messed up. So absolutely cooked. Do we die to triple punitive? Unlikely. Geneva Convention. Hey, Henry. Yeah, that's just not good for our opponent. There's no way that's good for our opponent. Now, if we had an Aumakua, we'd be really flying. And we're assuming now the rest of their agenda suite is 5/3s, which means like buckle up. It's going to be a long game. Wait, how many cards are they on? 7 plus 29 is 36. That's an Atlas? Oh, they're Adasting. This is why we should have dealt with the Spin Doctor. If they Audacity and Atlas, I'm... oh, Slash and Burn. That's much cooler. Oh, shit. Respect. That's why we should contest the Spin Doctor. Did you delete 7 clicks for them? It was worse than that. Unresed card. Okay, you got me that time. Shame it's going to be Doof into Mining Accident. Oh my god. I was sitting around feeling bored for the past 2 hours. I'm legit mad I forgot it's Thursday. No, Neon, how's the hands? Mr. Static, excuse me. That's Nick. How are the hands? Yeah, this is filthy. This is disgusting. I'll be honest. I don't feel good doing this. We're getting Earthrise. We're going to do Doof into Mining Accident. Our opponent pre-shuffled Spin Doctor, which, like, yeah, if we're going to run R&D twice, there's some reason to do that, but otherwise it forces us to run the Spin Doctor. Like, I don't think you have to do that. They're discarding a card now, too. I don't put 419 on automatic because I like to... I'll keep one. All right, well, 3 of those are gone. That's like a good thing. Choices. And we could like maybe still die to double punitive with like a too big to fail or something. I'm gonna take that risk. You can Harmony back. Yeah, I can Harmony 1 back. Draw? Nah. My hand now operated somewhat normal card slinging ability, still weak when numbness is gone. I tuned in for the first part of the stream. It seemed like obviously things were getting better, which is really exciting. It looks like a Greek tragedy. Trill Criminal Passion. All I can think about this game is stop, he's already dead. This is like why you play Reprise. Like Invincible Ice, Hermes. Can 419 be immune to all rotations, please? I need this because of reasons. Like, how do they get out of this hole? Like, Whoredom cost 5 credits to res. 5 credits. Our opponent played every econ card on turn 1 and turn 2. We could still lose. Like, they're trying to hurt us. Yeah, I'm going to expose that. It's a Pharaoh. It's a Pharaoh. So, oh, boy. Oh, business as usual. That's actually good Aumakua attack, right? Now, we're not a threat 3. They're playing 2-pointers, so I'm not sure how scared I have to be. And they single advance the Pharaohs, which they can't res, and they single advance this card. Okay. Should I be frightened? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no frightened. I'm going to play this pretty blasé and then just be surprised when we actually do flatline to something. They can res? How? It's a Pharaohs. Like if this is, I'm assuming this is a Charlotte, right? NGO front? Oh, that's fine if they res it. You're right. They could res an NGO front. It's a Charlotte. Yeah. Okay, cool. Great. Docklands. Ship it. We need to find our Aumakua though. Like clearly they have money. Okay. Oh no, stop it, Andre. Oh, oh no. They're gonna install the Pharaohs 3 times. They're gonna install the same Pharaohs 3 times. We just drew a reprise. There's no board state to reprise. There's no board state to reprise. I don't feel good, Aaron. What are we doing? Don't worry, we'll play the Harmony. This is messed up. This is real messed up. I don't like this. I don't like this. Now, with enough fast advance, they could still maybe get out of this. This is where my mind is. It's been a dark year. Punitive sick. Now, they can't really beat us. I think our hand are worth 4 credits. We'll be putting someone's hopes and dreams where they belong, in the ground. Oh no. And people hate 419. People really don't like playing against 419. The fun killer, they say. I don't know. Seems kind of cool. So you guys still get out of this, says the man pouring dirt into the grave. It's fine. We have a harmony. They're winning. We have to play harmony. Where's our mystic at this point? Well, shit. I don't think we need too bad publicity. Is that correct? I don't think we need too bad publicity, but I also can't imagine needing a breaker. I don't want to touch agendas because Reprise is not online. Fordham, Pharos. Okay. So far, I've only seen play core set cards. No, Angelique, Charlotte, business. This looks like a startup. Fuck. Hey, GG. Oh, hey, sorry about that. That was rough. I don't know what happened there. I don't feel good about it. We just full sent it. Oh, man. That was a lousy 21 clicks for them. We can't believe we had the reprise. Hey, thank you. Thanks for the game. What seed was that? It's a good seed, that's for sure. Hey, catch your hand. Because they had a Charlotte to push out and they didn't. I don't know if they had a Charlotte. Like, their opening turns was Mulligan into Spin Doctor and to keep HQ open. And like, maybe a newer player doesn't respect diversion of funds the way that players that might know maybe the FFG card pool a bit more does. But they don't have any FFG cards. So this actually does look like a startup deck, which is wild. Okay, yeah, seems good. Let's do that again. That's fun. It's kind of fun. My work here is done. Good night. Yeah, Aaron, thanks for dropping by. Good stuff with the deck. Honestly, though, Aaron, like, really good deck list right up. The deck is also fun. Seems like a newer play. Yeah, that'd be my guess. And I just hope games like that are not super discouraging. That business as usual. The business as usual was like, yeah, it didn't really do much for them. Op, let's go. Tron plays a mean op. Now we have an opening hand. It has one of our slow econ cards. Two of them, in fact. Let's try out these new rules. Got him. Time to get schooled by buff 419. Huge advantage. Honestly, big change. So they changed how the ruling works. When an op fires, it says to install on res. And classically, that install on res, after that was finished, the card was resed, so you couldn't expose it to 419. And not only could you not expose it for 419, 419 says the first time a card was installed, so it classically ate 419's trigger. It was a really nice thing. However, for reasons because it seemed to be inconsistent, they have now changed that so that once it's installed, right then and there before it gets res, there's some sort of checkpoint from my understanding, and then you have to pay the 419 tax or let the expose happens. JNet almost definitely doesn't have the new rule implemented. By the way, droids, I don't know if I've said hi. So that's not great. Our opening hand is kind of okay because we have a Pinel for an early Rashida push. We have Mystic, Gamble, Credentials. Like, we need to draw into a card draw card immediately, but like, it's not the worst hand. It's really hard in this matchup to rely on Aumakua because you're assuming that Op is on 3 copies of a virus, like canonically. That's never going to be good for us. It's the post-install cost paid checkpoint. Just rolls off the tongue. No install. Sick. Okay. So we definitely want to get Mystic down. We probably want to play Sure Gamble. We can poke HQ. Sometimes we don't want to get the cards res because once the cards are res, you can extract them. So let's hopefully draw into an Earthrise or a Class Act. That's not exactly it. That's a nice pressure, but I just think we want to start here and then ideally play this a bit cheaper next turn when we want to contest server 1, then run R&D. The problem is we don't have a good way to run R&D. We'd love a Biobands, an Aumakua, Dirty Laundry, like a reason to touch R&D here. Yo, what up? Jennifer, your recommendation for merch was a really good idea, and Maddie and I picked up a machine. We'll have it soon. I'll talk about it more later on, but like just a huge, fantastic idea. Thank you for that. It's a Tucana. Let's go. Yeah, I'm really stoked for it. It sounds really cute. It's a Tranquility. The Tucana was exposed. That is a virus or a Holoman. What was the merch idea? We bought like a hand crank machine so we can make like, you know, those pins with like the little metal backing on them so we can make merch for Worlds. So we'll have handmade pins that Maddie and I are making in the comfort of our own apartment. We can put whatever art we on them, and they look really good. We'll talk about that after, I think, this game. But yeah, we're gonna be making a line of different like nice pins for stuff. Could be a Crisium. It's less likely a Crisium, more likely a Mav, more likely a Holoman. It could be a Crisium. A lot of these decks have a Crisium, but it's less likely. Cheap and somewhat DIY. Yeah, the fact that it's a DIY option is like the part that really tickles me, which is great. Okay, so something probably in the hand is an agenda. So if we do Dockland's face check, so be it. My biggest regret is I won't ever have a burb done by Maddie. Oh, sorry, Alec. Mav is Holoman? Yes, Mav is Holoman. If this is a Winchester, which is coming out of the meta a bit, eating their Dockland's pass is pretty bad. We could pinhole it. We probably should pinhole it. If it's pinholed, it gets installed. If it gets installed, it gets into Tranquility. It is Afshar. Look at this guy getting manually exposed. Thank you, chat. You got my back. It is an Afshar. Very good to know. Let's just ruin his day. It's probably just Afshar. It is. He exposed it. Hey, Cody. Extract. Not great. I don't have a really good play here last click. I don't love playing Chesva down if we don't use it. I think installing Dockland's pass is a bit troubling. Mining Accident goes somewhat far here. So we're assuming he jams in the remote server next turn and gets Tranquility. Winhole, surely? I don't know. Like, we could winhole this and then, like, slide over to the Tranquility because we're assuming this Mav gets popped. I think we'd want to winhole with the Chesva, so that turn is kind of sailed a bit. I think we draw here and discard our worst card, which I'm not sure what it is. Falsified's going to be valuable money. Pinhole to use the Chesva. Yeah, I think we have to do that, but we only have one click left. So like click for a credit seems pretty rough. We probably should draw and discard our worst card. I'm going to click for credit, but I feel like we don't have card draw in this hand. It's too slow. Credit is fine. I think it's too slow. Fuck, it's too slow. Oh man, we could have pinholed. Shit. This is expensive though. I don't know how bad this is going to be for us. Like above the law? SMH. Yeah, at least we have a Hermes here though. I think with a Hermes we're okay here. Pinhole plus Chesva works. Oh yeah, if you do it on a central server, you can use the credits because it's during a run on the central server. The more you know, yeah, it's really, really fun. It's also like buy bands, obviously. But yeah, you're doing a run on archives possibly, so it works. It also triggers Zaya. Yeah, it also triggers Zaya, which is really fun. Yeah, we have to get the Trank down for sure. Jenny's totally right. Because it is one of the few ways that you can like beat back 419. Admittedly, though, the expose happens before you get the credits, which is kind of fun. So if you need the credits to pay for it, but extract, we knew that. What's getting extracted here? Just a face down card? The heck? Whoa, it's gone. Bye now, Spin Doctor. What do you think this card is? Feels like an agenda. You think it's an agenda? I think here we do Chesva into Winhole, and then we go from there. What's happening? I don't know. Tron is dealing with a hand. So our goal is to get into HQ. So we can do Chesva Pinhole to hit the Holoman. Then we can run R&D for a single. SDS waiting room. Yeah, it feels like it, which is kind of fine. I've done Pinhole off of R&D, then Burner, the access the agenda I put on top of Cal. Wait, what? I have done Pinhole off of R&D, then Burner, the access the agenda I put on top of Cataloger? I'm not sure I understand. Sweet. Yeah, we'll go for it. Taking down the Holoman makes the score pretty difficult. Are they trying to avoid install from HQ by using extract trigger? You can't tutor agendas? No, because they don't have install costs. They also didn't trash the Spin Doctor, which is not a surprise. Chesva gets used. So now we have to go here for a bounce. And then if we get the bounce here, we'll open up HQ, and HQ will probably see... Oh. I mean, okay. So either we open up the ice on HQ or we open up the card and serve it one. This is a high decision point. Either we bounce the card and serve it one, which is probably an agenda, or we bounce the ice on HQ and we can go in for a single or force a reinstall. I think we just bounce the agenda and we get a window here to draw. Install cost, I just don't want him to score next turn. It's not so much to repair the ice. Would really like the Chesva now. Shame it's 3 points. Feels bad. Tranquility and Holloman went back in. Okay. So that's probably the same card. Pinhole is afterwards. You have made a successful run already. So, oh, you use Cataloger because you made the run. Okay, I get it now. This should steal another agenda. Spin Dock, kind of premature. No, they wanted to draw those cards. It's not always premature. Like if I'm gonna pressure R&D, sometimes you have to do it. Okay, so if this is above the law, we don't want to install the Earthrise, but I think we're gonna install. Like the question is, what do we install here? Kurapir is really scary. Toronto is often on like an archer list, so our breakers we want to be a bit careful with them. Obviously, also Stavka. Earthrise Hotel is kind of what we need, but it is a bit expensive. Docklands is pretty useful. There's almost always agendas in hand. Kuro, so we can house another SES. I don't know if we want to steal another SDS, and the deck might only be on 1 or 2, honestly. And if that's an SDS, I'm not sure if we're scared. Hey, Kyle. I'm gonna go for the Earthrise, and then we can maybe click for credits. Half run. That's a really bad draw for Tron. So at least we can force the Afshar for 4. I think I just need to take 2. We have enough card draw coming in. We probably should have just drawn, credit instead of drawn anyways. It's never above the law, and then it's fine. Can't be. It's the least likely option. Why would you play around that? Scores Luminal, we lose in 2 turns. I've never done that. Oh no, above the law. Oh no. Oh yeah, that's actually kind of worse. Let's be honest. Archers coming down. We'll reprise the archers. Our deck is not good at breaking archers. It's on HQ. Very, very cool. So returning the Afshar doesn't matter so much. We're going to just return the ice. We need to draw a reprise stat. I think they would above the law the Earthrise if we paid 4. 10 credits. We could do like double mining. Single mining here seems kind of fine. I might actually want to draw here. I don't know what the rest of the turn is. Didn't plan it out. Board control. So we know Afron in hand. We'll do a mining accident and see what happens. I like that. That makes me happy. The deck has a fair bit of trashables. Now we just need to get a boomerang or an inside job or something. Oh my. Can we afford to do the second mining accident? Probably not. So then we have to install something which I don't want to do. So I guess we do the second mining accident and see what happens. Probably shouldn't have drawn then. Maybe we would have drawn something playable. Here Tron might just bite 5, but if he bites 5, he doesn't have a remote server. So we actually can convert to getting breakers. If he pays 5, that's pretty expensive because this ice install is too bad pub. Let's see if that works. Reprise Archer doesn't help. They will res it again. We'll face check it into and die. Yeah, but it costs an agenda point. I found it fun that suddenly Reprise seems to be one of the best cards in the deck. It's often valued as a janky low priority card. It's like the win more card, right? But I kind of love it. All right. Do we know that it's a border control? No surprise. So how do we run this? We can do Kurapira, install a Kurapira. We can install a boomerang. We can bravado this. The boomerang will get stuck. The Kurapira will be breaks for free. So we can do Kurapira, boomerang, and then we can, no, we can't bravado. No money. Yeah, we don't actually have the money here. We could consider bravadoing R&D and trying to force a res because I think Tron can't really res here. The problem is if this is like exactly a tithe and we lose one of our breakers, I would consider it to be an issue. Should we falsify and guess what it is? I kind of want to keep it for the Aumakua. I'm assuming it's actually an Rashida. So what you do with falsified is you often want to call the thing that you lose to. Like we don't lose here to a Rashida, we lose to an agenda. So we probably should call agenda because if it's a Rashida, we don't have to run it. I'll see an eminent here, right? It's an above the law. Shit. All right, so then we can do, assuming there's an Afshar there with the Afro in his hand, we can do Kurapira, boomerang, bravado. That doesn't do it. But we can force some reses, so I think we have to do it. We have to do Kurapira. If this is a border control, gets res for 4, puts Tron on 5. So we could just do Kurapira, boomerang, bravado, but then you don't have to res the border control. I think we'll do Kurapira, boomerang, bravado. We have 2 bad publicity, so we can run pretty low to ground. Does the innermost server 1 ice? No, I don't know what this ice is. Apparently we're going to find out. Giving them the op trigger with border control last click isn't great? You're not wrong. That's fine. Imagine we had a reprise here. So we'll trade our Kurapira. I'm fine with this. That cost 1 point, gave us an agenda that was going to score one of our agendas. Now we just need a reprise. Is this Diet? It's Diet SDS, you're right. Steel, we get 700 credits. We get a Hermes. We know this is a border control. This is an Afshar. We're going to keep the border control there. We're going to force a reinstall here. We're doing pretty good. And the boomerang goes back. Honestly, we're fine. We went off of a single axis. This is like where aggro criminal is so damn fun. Just fun. Show me what you got. It's a regolith. Crap. Infinite economy. Ice on R&D. Yeah, okay. So now we can face check Mystic into Earthrise. Double reprise, like, okay. Reprise is probably a dead card. There are Eminence, but yeah, doesn't feel great now. So if we run this in face check, it can't be, we force a res. Ideally, our best draw is a pinhole. This is where like reprise, like if a reprise was a pinhole here, would we be better off? Yeah. I'll draw once for a pinhole. Okay, so we'll probably just run R&D, force a res. Tithe, fine. Don't hit our cat's cradle. Fine. Win. Spin Doctor. Trash for free. Yeah, we don't want Tron to draw Spin Doctor. We can consider going back here. We don't need to play the gamble. I think we can just, if we do Cradle, we're now weak to Archer face check. Thought this was control crim. No, it's a bit aggro. I think it's more aggressive crim, right? Like you're trying to control the game by being aggressive. It's not like sit back and like twinning crim. Like you have to be running constantly. Next turn pressure R&D. 100% we're going to be pressuring R&D. Like we probably can install Cat's Cradle and go back. This is the most important install. I don't think we need a sure gamble. I think we actually end up drawing here because our money's pretty good. We have a 7 credit card next turn. So we should have not Earthrise. We should have drawn first. Yeah, that's all we need. Now we do Aumakua, run archives, and then we have to only watch out if there's like a upgrade on the table. Yeah, show me what you got. It actually would be better to draw and get Aumakua down so you can't pay for this expose here, but Tron doesn't have to pay with expose with Regolith. 10 credits. Okay, so we now need to put the pressure on. It shouldn't be that hard to keep us out though. These are bad cards to draw. We haven't seen him a virus yet. So Stavka 7 strength. The Afrun is in there. Good to know. We're just going to force an ice on archives. It's slipping a bit from our hands for sure. An ice on archives and or any upgrade makes us kind of scared of face checking. Luckily, we've seen 2 archers and it might still be a Stavka. Or even like a hammer is pretty annoying. But if Tron has to score out, we can open up R&D. Do we not force a Stavka res since we have 2 turtles? We don't care about the 2 turtles problem because the Afrin's in the bin. We unsneak? No. No, we have no tricks. Besides reprise, which is the best trick. Yes. 6 credit light Regolith got let go, right? Snake Door is like such a fun card, but the problem is like Criminal doesn't have good access to MU. Undo click, okay. I don't know what Tron does in 3 clicks that's more important than taking 3 credits off of this. Maybe that's why he's undoing click. Don't Janet overinstall? I don't think it makes a difference. But now he's finishing it and getting a 1-coster. That seems better. Samba. Since it could be an upgrade. Oh, you're right about that. I wish when it installed upgrades, it did ask you if you want to trash. That is true. Tithe, fine, but why not? It does make R&D more dense of agendas, which we appreciate that idea. So Sandstone will be 5 strength. We run the server for largely free. He has infinite credits, which like that's not a great place to be in. Mutual favor. So mutual favor, we can run archives. We can go get our Carmen. We know this is border control Carmen, border control Archer. Is our killer actually Carmen? It's Carmen. So Archer, we have to break for 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't forget your virus token. Oh, did you want to pay? Thank you. You're right. The new rules. Yeah. So the idea is, I was totally gonna forget, is that when op installed, Tron has to do the payer expose before that. What card is in server 1? They burnt it on the tithe. Yeah. You're right though. Okay, these doofs are useless. So what we can do here is we can run archives, get Aumakua to 4, run R&D, break the tithes, let them fire, honestly. I think that's probably the play. This being a Mav might blow us out. So we can run R&D. This is, again, a border control, which costs us 2. Then we have to break this twice, which is not great. If you can afford to pay tithe, then doesn't server 1 is a Mav? Maybe, but if he purges a Mav into this face check, it's like, can't be an Archer, so it'd have to be exactly a Stavka. And if it's a Stavka, we have Carmen, so I think we're fine with it. Fine. We're going to use your bad pub, I'm assuming, regardless. Unless this is a sandstone. That's the only thing we can't break here. Or an envelopment, I guess? Carmen breaks for 6. Archer? Or Stavka? Stavka would be 2, 4, 5, 6, yeah. We can just let the tides fire. It doesn't matter. Oh, Maskirovka, right. Tron loves Maskirovka. Break that for 2. All right, the server costs us 2 credits and some net damage. Don't worry about it. Just don't lose the Cat's Cradle. Cool. Trank. That's fine. You can draw that. We'll draw that. Break the damage. It doesn't really matter. Like, the diversions aren't totally useless. The reprise is mostly useless. Now, if Tron does score out, we can't bounce R&D, but we can maybe bounce HQ. We just actually need more money here. So let's draw into econ events. Oh, Rashida, nice. Okay, so that's good lock breaking. We still have a pinhole. We have no more falsifieds, I don't think. No, we have one more falsified. We have one more gamble, one more dirty laundry. The Chesva will be really good too. We have one more in the list because it makes running R&D entirely free. Andre willing 1 credit over 1/5 to lose the game. It's actually not 1/5 to lose the game because the code gates you're expecting in the deck are Afshar, which is 1 strength. So that's not that hard for us to deal with. It is Thimble Rig, which is 0 strength. Maybe Tron's playing Enigma or Descent, but like there's no high strength code gates in this list to fear. It's not actually a big problem. Okay, so this has to be a Mav because this server is very, very cheap. You're going to want the reprise when we steal the Eminent. That's the best case, is that if we hit an Eminent, the reprise does something. So we want a Bravado for this. Okay, we have a Bravado for this. So server 3 is a Spin Doctor, which server 1 is probably a Mavirus. If we Bravado this, we have 6 plus 2 bad publicity. Archer is like 3. Don't we still have the reshuffle that's being memed about? There's a way out unless I miss. Yeah, even if we lose all our breakers, like we can get the shuffle back in. And like drawing the shuffle in your bottom 15 cards is what you want to do. So we either have diversion of funds, thinking. The problem is like whether this is the one of the 3 Mavirus. Run 3 for Mav. We know 3 is a Spin Doctor. It's whether this is the Mavirus. And if it was a Mavirus, I don't think Tron would put it empty, but we know it was exposed as a Spin Doctor. So either this is not the Mavirus and Tron doesn't care because Aumakua can farm archives, which is fair. So if we Bravado server 1, we might get the Mavrez on Archer. And then if we hit Archer, we'll have 6, 7, 8 credits, which is enough. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is enough. So I think we need to just flush this out. The sooner that cards are rezzed here, the better it is for us. sort of, if a Mav gets popped, because every ice that we're not, Tron needs to res here because of Bravado. Again, also running R&D is relatively cheap. We lost our crew repair, we did. Okay, so it's 2 border controls. So this is free to break. So we're actually still making money off the Bravado. Just cracked it right away. Okay. So I don't actually think we get more money from the Bravado. I wonder what that's about. Oh, we're going to get a Mav here. Yeah. They can wait for pop Mav until you face the Archer. Totally. But at that point, we have the Carmen. I think that Tron is just actually going to use this border control to get him a virus. That's really cool. I didn't play around that. I'm assuming that's what's going to happen here. I'm just going to crack it right away because bad publicity doesn't matter. And that's the map. Okay, so now we need a pinhole. Can you pop border control after break before movement? You can, yeah. It doesn't change anything here. So now we actually want to run this more than ever because we still can break Archer. Counter V7. Like, we still want to run this because if Tron purges or fires the border control, it's not particularly good for him. So we want to run this, break with this. Like, we just have to chase the viruses down. We have the money to afford to do this. Cool. Oh, we don't have the money to deal with that, though. Of course we don't. That's fine. That's actually totally fine. Tron playing Zato? Tron might be. I think Zato's pretty good. So now we can run archives to get 1 Aumakua counter, and then we can go back. And I think we probably need to do that. Zato shows up in op lists, a lot of rush op lists modernly. I think it's seeing a bit more play. Buy for install, I think it might be too expensive, but we do have the bad pub, you're right. Yeah, so why not? Now the virus will purchase out, but we'll still get 1 Aumakua counter. So this comes in for nearly free. And now we can run server 1, and if Tron last click pops the border control, we're like kind of fine with it because it doesn't fire op, and we can chase out what's in the remote server. We could save a credit here and give Tron 2 credits, but Tron actually is getting a bit lower on credits. With bad publicity, we might be okay. We might be fine. Cool. So now this remote server is obviously just Archer, which we break for 6 credits with bad publicity. I'll get rid of the Mystic because the mutual favor might actually matter. Cool. So we know that's a Spin Doctor, which is a nice way to get 4 credits, and an Aumakua if he doesn't crack it immediately. We have a backup Aumakua, it doesn't matter, but Falsified Cheswa is great because now running R&D is really cheap. We'll see if he scores out. He has a lot of work to do. Like, worst case is server 1 is, I think, an Eminent, and it clearly is an agenda if he's popped his border control. So he still has a lot of work to do, and he might end up flooding up. This is why denying the credits matters, because it's expensive. And we've now seen 2 border controls. All right, we falsified. Do you think this is agenda? I think this has to be an agenda. It's an SDS drone deployment in server 1. That's really important to understand. How's the bad pub treating you? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So we can run server 3. We can run server 4. There's a big chance that server 4 might be a virus, and we have to find out sooner than later. So we might as well start there, I think. Maybe that actually means we shouldn't have exposed. Yeah, that's a bummer. We should have kept exposed for later. But now we understand if we get into this remote server, we win. Can we just get into the remote server? If we just do credit, run the remote server, what blows us out? If it's a border control, Tron can go get a Holoman. No, can't. So get him a virus. Mavirus can get a Holoman. Holoman can score at the SDS. It's really expensive. But like, there's a big chance here with 2 bad publicity. We can just do credit, run remote server. Right? Because we're on 8 credits. This cost us less than 8 credits to break. 2, 4. It costs us only... we have to break the trash programs. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we actually can face check this. The question is whether this is like a sandstone. Afrin, we've seen the one Afrin, it's in the bin. Now Spin Doctor could shuffle back, and maybe it's a Stavka or something. Yeah, we might need to play around Maskarovka. We'll run server 4 because we need to deal with this. 4's probably a Svi. Sorry, I don't think this deck is on Svi. I think this is either another Spin Doctor or just a Rashida. That can be a liability here because now we have an Aumakua server. That actually might be a mistake. Get Cradle down first for tax. We're trying to win this turn, right? So I don't actually think we need to care about the tax. So it's a Rashida, so we can always run back last clicks and trash that. But that means we can run server 1 and figure out what this is. This we have to break for 2-4, and then we have to break 5-6-7. So that leaves us with 1 credit to break whatever this ice is. So if it's a Maskarovka, we get through it. If it's a Stavka, we can break it and not lose. If it's envelopment, that's a problem. Cradle costs 0 since less is for higher 3 archer subs. No, we have to break the end of the run. So it only saves 2 credits. One credit more for Afshar? Yeah, but we're never running HQ, right? Also, Op beats it technically, which is fun. It's whether we run this or not, right? Like if it's a board control we want to run now. R&D density pretty high, but like we know the SDS is in the remote server, so like if we can force the remote server, so be it. So if it's a sandstone, it'll be 5 strength. We run back, it's 4 strength. That's too low. Just play trick shot. Like this doesn't go anywhere. Like I think we can just face check it, and like this agenda's not going to go anywhere. Like if anything, if we think the agenda's going to go somewhere, we need to contest the Spin Doctor. So we can run server 1, see what happens. We have 8 credits. This costs us 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can break this for 1. And then if that's bad, we just trash the Rashida. I don't know if this can be. There's ways to keep us out. I think it has to be like a sandstone, but I think Tron is actually Maskarovka build. I think border control is bad. It's not good. Oh, sick. We win. There's no trick here. GG. Yeah, it is Maskarovka, but that was a sandstone actually would be better. I realized a moment too late. Rashida was the throw. Yeah, Rashida. Yeah, Rashida is a liability there for sure. Yeah, you don't want to. The heck? What's going on? Do we get EMP'd? Oh no, we're good. Rashida, there's a liability for sure. Border control into Mav into Holloman. Yes, that's what I was worried about. Last click border control to Mav to Holloman. In theory, there has to be some respect that we have a pinhole in hand. But if that's a border control, it's the last border control, so it's less likely. But if it's border control, he can get him a virus. If we get him a virus, he gets the Holloman, and we just reinstall our Aumakua. So it's like, that is the one blowout, but there's no way that we can't run this. You left yourself more vulnerable last turn than you should have. I don't remember last turn. What'd I do? And this is also the thing, right? Like there's some fear about losing your programs in Criminal, and I get it, but you can still win. Obviously, this deck has a reset button later on, which is a bit clumsy, but like you still have other tricks to deal with things. Aumakua is a big trick, Boomerang, Inside Job. There's a lot of ways. Had the SDS been a virus, I can shuffle back the Afron, purge, and then blow out your breakers by locking the Carmen. Oh, I have, the deck has program recursion. So I don't mind too much, but I have to take some risks. Yeah, so the idea is that when the Spin Doctor is on the table, there's always an opportunity where that Tehran at instant speed can Spin Doctor back the Afron and then use the Afron or pull the Afron using some sort of trick. So if we want to be super safe to not lose that Afron blowout, we'd have to actually deal with the Spin Doctor. We took a risk there for sure. And if that was exactly the Mavirus, I don't think you would have popped the border control on it. I don't think you'd have cracked the first BC though, if it was a Mav. Yeah, but I think in hindsight, the fact that Tron cracked a border control early, if it was a Mavirus, he wouldn't have. So but then he would have done it later on that run. That's fine. I think that's fine because we would get a really good bravado. Good game. Fun. It's like just a fun criminal deck. And it's always the fun one after to look at the replay to be like, how good was this mining accident for us? I closed the stats menu. I wish I didn't, but you see how many credits we made from this. I think with the number of the 1-pointers and hadn't scored, I'm on, and with reprises, I was more about waiting for the moment. I don't know if you need to risk it. Yeah, I might be able to sit back. But I can't get into HQ easily, so I need to force some amount of pressure on the remote. Civilian game against Tron, yeah. And like you see here, right? Like we talked about earlier how what's called falsified is an underplayed card to some extent. It's really good. Like not only for us 4 credits on an Aumakua counter, that's like the best case scenario, but knowing what's in the server with like some amount of guarantee, as much guarantee as you can honestly get, you know what it is, allows you to like pinhole, allows you to like plan out whole turns. If I didn't expose that as an SDS, we wouldn't have won by now. You did spend 4 more credits than you gained. Oh, okay, Tron. Wait, what does that mean, Tron? Tron can hear us. Yeah, 2 of them were Chesva. Cool. Hey, good game, eh? Good luck tomorrow. I think Tron is playing tomorrow in the New Zealand Nationals online, which is really exciting. I think there's going to be a lot of people coming out to play that one. It's not at a great time zone for where I am. For Tron, it's maybe a bit better, but specifically, it's real late. It's real late. But a lot of folks here are probably want to get one more tournament in before Worlds. That's a really nice place to get involved in. Shout out to NB Kelly, who's organizing it. Kat, I'm doing well. We're playing Aumakua 419. It's always such a blast. How are you doing? Okay, we're gonna do some news. There's a whole bunch of news stuff. First stop, East Coast Nationals Finals up on Neon Static. This video is really great. It's a really exciting game between 2 great players. I joined for commentary. Mind you, this whole series has now been out between both Neon Static and Querying the Message, and it's just like really great stuff. Querying the Message, mind you, if you haven't watched the videos, they now have a theme song, which kind of slaps. It's kind of sick. I do want to say I listened through this, and I don't know if I need to exactly apologize, but I might have goofed some pronouns. If that's the case, apologies. For AM pronouns, I think I go to as a conjugation. That might be just strictly wrong. I don't know. Apologies if that's the case. But I mean to get that obviously as properly as we can. So apologies for that. But the game is fantastic. Really good, obviously, presentation of the videos across both QTM and Neon Static stuff. So check them out. Are we playing it with the new rules? Yeah, Kat, and it actually did matter. We got a couple more extra Aumakua counters. Maybe it actually didn't matter, but it definitely wasn't good for the corporation. Arkham Tangents played some Mandy and Edge tonight. As ever, card searching is really fun. Mandy's really good. Are you playing Taboo, Mandy, Supernaut, with the 50 card deck mandatory? Okay, some news on Null Signal Games side. Firstly, Null Signal Games. Why is there nothing about Worlds on the front page? Why is the organized play thing locked here, but not something to tell you that Worlds is coming up? If I'm a new player and I come to the front page, there's no indication that Worlds is in like 3 weeks. What's going on? It used to be locked here for Barcelona for a whole month. You can't tell Worlds is happening in 3 weeks. What the heck, NSG? You gotta get hyped about this stuff. I'm so surprised that like when looking for World stuff, I have to like dig for it. It's in 3 weeks. It's in 30 days. It's the 19th. It starts on the 18th next month. 50 cards. I like the extra slots. Yeah. Motherfucker, we got 4 weeks. Oh, sorry, 4 weeks. Sorry, you're right. 4 weeks. It's in 1 month. I'm getting Ian. Ian's still scrambling to find a deck list. Stop reminding me. Sorry, it's in 30 days. I meant to say I got the 3 locked up into my base system, but like NSG, you got to get some stuff up there. Other stuff on NSG's website though, there's a rules update, 3 weeks rounding down. So the rules update is a pretty long article. We're probably not going to read through all of it, but there's some major changes and some of them are kind of goofy. I like how this is at the top as a bit of an update. Firstly, the runner can now choose, okay, how Patchwork works. This actually came up in some commentary we did recently. The runner must choose which card they are playing or installing before triggering Patchwork's ability. The idea with Patchwork, you have to understand, Patchwork is a console from Rain and Reverie that's seeing some amount of play modernly because it's hella fun and good. Patchwork is a card that says once per turn when you play or install a card, you can trash a card from your hand to reduce the installer play cost by 2. Gives you 1 MU, which I wish it was more, but a really, really fun card from Rain and Reverie. The idea is that this card is not only pretty good on its own, but really good with cards like Steelskin Scarring and Strike Fund, which fire when trashed directly from the grip. So the one thing you have to understand, firstly, is when you fire Steelskin Scarring and you're using Steelskin Scarring to trash it to install a card with Patchwork, you have to show what card you are installing with the Steelskin first. You cannot draw a card with Steelskin and then install that card. This is somewhat intuitive on the basis that you choose what card you're going to install and then you pay the costs and do abilities. So this did come up in a video we had recently where Steven was playing against Izzy, where Steven fired a Steelskin and then installed a card after firing the Steelskin. Now, I think Steven was very clear that the cards he drew were in his hand and they were separate from the card he installed with Patchwork. There was like no foul play there and no assumption of foul play, but that was exactly the moment where you should be a bit clear and say like, this is the card I'm installing, but I'm also going to Steelskin first. So you have to commit to the card before you see what you draw. And of course you can't install a card you drew with the Steelskin. So I can only paint so fast. Sorry, Cat. Long nights, I guess. Very notably too is that anything that you can afford with Strike Fund, you can play with Patchwork. It's like super, super liberal. If there's a card that costs 5 and you only have 1 credit, you can technically play a Strike Fund to the Patchwork to play that card because you'll get more money with the Patchwork and the Strike Fund. It works. I'm not 100% why I should read the whole document, I reckon. I think if Patchwork gave 2MU would be the only enter console. 2MU for +2 forever discounts Busto. I don't know. Keiko gives you 2 credits a turn, doesn't it? And you don't have to do nothing. And it gives you MU and it's cheaper. I don't know. It's like comparing with Keiko, the difference is Patchwork is more fun. It honestly might be a comparable card. This is weird. The runner can trigger Patchwork's ability when playing or installing a card that already costs 0 credits. The replacement effect is still able to apply even though the cost reduction ends up not mattering. Actually, that's not surprising. You can use you can career fair a 0 cost resource. No one's going to stop you. The runner can take an action to play Moshing. For the unfamiliar, Moshing is a 0 cost event that allows you to trash 3 cards. Where's my tab? From hand to draw 3 and gain 3 credits. Very, very powerful card. Also works with Strike Fund. Also works with Steelskin Scarring, of course. Now, the rules update on this is very weird. The runner can take an action to play Moshing without 3 other cards in their grip, as long as they will be able to play the required costs when they reach the appropriate step. In other words, a runner with Moshing, Steelskin Scarring, and 1 other card in their grip can use Patchwork to trash Steelskin Scarring and draw 2 cards, then pay Moshing's additional cost by trashing the 3 cards they now have in their grip. This is actually super useful. And there's a bunch of board states which I have been in and I have seen in which a player wants to Moshing their Steelskin Scarring, but doesn't have other great targets. So from my understanding, you can now Moshing the Steelskin, see what it draws, and then commit to the next 2 cards. What? Why? I don't get it. Why? I need to read the article, obviously. Huh? That's not correct? Okay, hold on. That is incorrect. That's incorrect. Hold on. Roll that back. Okay, good. This is a Patchwork ruling. Okay, hold on. This is good. Okay, good. I'm glad that is incorrect because that made no sense. Let me read this again. The ability here is to do with Patchwork. The idea is that if you want to play Moshing, you can Moshing a Steelskin. The Steelskin will draw you enough cards in hand. And then with enough cards in hand, you can resolve Moshing. What I said was strictly incorrect. That is the best outcome of this possible conversation because we can delve into what is correct and understand that that ruling would be bizarre, as upset as I was seemingly about it. But you said the same. No, I didn't. Hold on. Okay, third conversation. You have a Moshing, you have a Patchwork, and you only have 1 other card in your hand. The 2 other cards in the hand, and you have 2 other cards in the hand. The idea is that for some reason, and this could make sense, is you use Patchwork to discard a Steelskin. The Steelskin draws 2 cards, and now you have 3 cards in your hand, and so now those 3 cards can be moshed. You use Patchwork to discard the Steelskin, so the Steelskin can draw, so the Moshing can discard the cards drawn from Steelskin. I have finally gotten there. When you Moshing, you can Patchwork a Steelskin to get enough to pay the remaining cost of Moshing. Okay, that's fine. That seems fine. Whatever, that's fine. That's not surprising. I thought it was weirder than that. Is that weird? Are people upset about that? I'll act the way that you act. If you're upset, we'll all be upset together. You said Mosh the Steelskin? Patchwork the Steelskin. It's fine. Hey, Saf. The really wild part is that you don't have to continue paying for Moshing if the cards are good. What? The thing that actually really bugs me is you can pitch the strike fund and then decline to actually play the moshing, which I just don't get why. What? Wait, what can you do? You can just say no? You can say I'm good? Okay, hold on. Let's get through this list because I think that's probably a case that comes up in the article. Okay, we talked about this one already because we've seen it. During an install and res effect, when installed conditional abilities like Tranquility Home Grid's ability meet their trigger condition after the card becomes installed, but before the card is resed. So basically when you op, an op says install and res a card with no credit costs. While it's installed before it's resed, 419 can trigger. That is technically a new ruling that Null Signal Games is reversing on. I'm not saying they shouldn't reverse rulings as long as it's consistent, I suppose, but that is obviously very good for 419 and not good for op. It's actually been ruled the opposite, and it was a very good interaction into 419 because not only did it eat 419's trigger, you couldn't pay because it couldn't expose a card that's rezzed. So that is just very good for 419 generally. It also means if you're getting out of Tranquility Home Grid with op, and this is why the question came up, if you're cheating out of Tranquility Home Grid with restore or with op, it won't fire because it technically doesn't see its own trigger for some reason. If you use Steel Skin that way, if you draw a card, you can just say, never mind, nothing to see here. That's so strange. It's so weird. Applying the understanding to 419 means that 419 meets its trigger condition at the same time after the card has been installed, but before it's been rezzed. So it seems to me like the window that says install and res are two separate things. It used to be seen as one clause from my understanding. Install and res the card you found. That used to be like do it all at once, and now it looks like there's an interrupt. And they go into the article, they talk about how there's a structure between install and res. Okay. What is this whole thing? What can I look to figure out why I'm going to be upset about why you can moshing no cards? These are the 18-step process of playing Patchwork. Okay, here we go. Here we go. First up, a weird trick that doesn't even need any specific other cards. What happens if the runner targets the same card as both the event to play at B and the card to trash the Patchwork's ability? This is a totally legal choice since nothing in Patchwork's text, either the original or the updated, says anything about the trash card needing to be a different card. What in the heck? Whenever you would play or install a card, you may trash the exact same card from your grip. If you do, instead play or install that card paying 2 credits less. So the ruling is that in theory, you can install and trash the same card. Why are we here? Why is this happening? So what happens? The action fails to do anything when it tries to resolve and the game proceeds. Why? This failed, quote, action could still be useful to the runner if trashing a card meets other trigger conditions. For example, the runner could essentially click for 2 credits by trashing Strike Fund this way. Note that even though no event was played, the runner still spent a click on the failed action and Patchwork once per turn limitation is still used up. Rules Jail has breached containment. So if I have a Patchwork and a Steel Skin, I can just click to play the Steel Skin, trashing the same Steel Skin and draw 2 cards? Obviously, that's a terrible idea. A Strike Fund makes more sense because you actually get more money. Dodge is Mari trigger. Holy shit. Haha! Is Mari no longer S tier? That's fun. Why was it just change the text of the card to a different, right? Like maybe you don't want to do that, I guess. Don't get me started on buffer drive. Oh my god, I don't want to worry about buffer drive anymore. I love a clarification that's more confusing. I want to be very clear. I really appreciate the rules team. A lot of effort went into presenting this article. Like there's a lot of words here and like the work that they do to make the rules bulletproof. Like if we feel like this is pretty silly, obviously the rules team's work is super important, but it is obviously we're in straight goofy territory here, right? Here's one likely you heard before. The running only. Okay, so yeah, I know this one. You can play a sure gamble of 1 credit by playing Strike Fund. What can I learn about this moshing thing? Okay, here we go. Similarly, the runner can trash Steel Skin Scarring and draw 2 cards. The runner cannot then change the card they will play. Okay, that we know that. However, there are still situations where the runner can make immediate use of those cards. For example, moshing has an additional cost of trashing cards from the grip. And the new cards are definitely in the grip by the time runner pays the cost. So the idea is that you play the moshing, you fire the Steel Skin, and now you have more cards in hand. Since moshing, already has a play cost of 0 and a cost that is modified to a negative value gets reset to 0. Okay. Yeah, playing it for 2 cards less doesn't change anything for the runner. But by using the trick, a click-constrained runner with only Steelskin, Moshing, and one other card in their grip can take an action to play the Moshing, using Patchwork to trash Steelskin and draw 2 cards, and then have to require 3 cards. Okay, we understood that. That's the thing that took me 3 tries. But this is the sentence I want. But what if the runner finds the card they were digging for with their Steelskin scarring draws and no longer wants to play Moshing after the interrupt window? Normally, players are allowed to decline additional costs and thereby cancel the effect. Does this rule apply here? Yes. Is a failed card a card play? Oh, I don't know, actually. This is Mari Fire when you failed to do a Moshing? Because you've played it, but you didn't play it. When I read the article, I thought I understood, but nothing makes sense anymore. Well, that's fascinating. It's like pretty notable because Patchwork comes up a fair bit. Like Patchwork is seeing some amount of play now, so this is actually really important when it comes to maybe Worlds this year. So it's good that the judges are on the same page and this stuff gets codified before we get to the World Championship, where obviously it might matter. Okay, that stuff is wild. I think I've entirely internalized it, I'll be honest. It's strange. It's kind of cool that Patchwork gets even more tricky and trying to understand the board states where you can do that sort of thing. I don't understand the 7-step system, but I haven't read the 7-step system, so obviously that's a non-starter. I will read it later off stream, but that's weird. That's honestly weird. Strange. I'm just happy strong rules people are probably coming to my on Saturday. Yeah, that's okay. Play Patchwork and try and do as weird things as possible to see what they're up to. This is such a long article. Whoa. There was a lot of writing going into this. Shout out to the rules team. Cool. That's good to know. Genuinely good to know. I don't know how much that's going to matter, but that's really, really goofy. Weird. Just weird. EU store update. Progress report seems positive, and then immediately, like 3 minutes later, the first post on r/Netrunner is like, I tried to use the European store and it didn't work. We're happy to announce that we're starting to ship orders in the EU region once again. That's huge. We have a number of high priority orders to address first, and then we'll begin to ramp up shipping capacity. So it looks like EU is coming back up. I wonder if people are still having problems. I think I've heard reports. So if you see reports, please tell NSG, because obviously they're in the understanding that things are working. But obviously the EU store has been a bit of a struggle, and that's nobody likes that. Null Signal Games doesn't like that. Tournament organizers don't like that. Players don't like that. So this getting back on as soon as possible is obviously, it's still not open, but the shipping backlog. Okay, they're starting to ship orders, but the store isn't open. Very important. Thank you, Jeff. As someone who's pretty deep into rules for multiple card games, this ruling seems like nonsense. Sorry, Robert. I need to read the structure to see what I fully think about it. The implications of it are like very, very weird. I understand that you can pay a card and then be like, additional cost, no. But technically you can always just, like, you can always choose to play Moshing and say no, right? We call this quantum event. And before we call it quantum event, we need to explain QPUs, quadruple parallel universes /ref. Okay, anyways, I think the last part of news is a merch question. For those going to Worlds, we are buying a hand-making pin press so that we can make these sort of nice kind of pins. We're going to home make these, and we can put all sorts of designs and decals on them that are both Metropole Grid branded and Netrunner adjacent branded, and we'll have them at Worlds, hopefully, if nothing goes wrong. Fantastic. And those will be for sale at Worlds, which is sick if you want a bit of Metropole Grid merch. We're also looking at making some sticker sheets and stuff like that for people who want to do other personalization stuff, and Metropole Grid stuff, and Netrunner adjacent stuff, which is great, and I'm excited for that. I'm also looking at maybe doing some clothing stuff, either sweaters because it's October or t-shirts. If that's something that's interesting to you, please let me know if you're going to be at Worlds and you'd be interested in picking up some sort of Metropole Grid apparel, either red with Metropole Grid, something super simple, or probably black with a pretty simple undo click on it, which I think undo click is my favorite catchphrase modernly. If you want to be part of that, because clothing is a bit more expensive and I don't want to make a lot of clothing and then have to haul it around somewhere. So if you're interested and you're going at Worlds to pick up any sort of Metropole Grid merch, please let me know so I can judge what sort of quantities and whether that's something worth pursuing. It's 100% something I want. Very cool. Is Patchwork half a press of Netrunner? Patchwork a hedge fund with strike fund on one credit's cool? Yeah, sure gamble. Yeah, it is very cool. But that's been a rule forever. That's been like a known quantity. Now, the last thing is we're really getting in the weeds here, and I need to ask your an art opinion. This has been frustrating my partner, Maddie, who's helping with this stuff a lot. We have a K problem. This is Isowak. It's a thumbnail when we played Isowak. That's my smiling face. Oh, look at that. Young, nice man. Do you see the K here? Maddie wrote undo click on a sticker in the Metropole Grid font stylings, and I looked at it and been like, that looks weird. Why does that look super weird to me? It just looked wrong. in my heart of hearts, slash undo clicked in this font, Moncrita Pursuit, looked bad. And I was like, why is that? And then I thought, it's probably the K. The K looks strange. And then I looked at a thumbnail in which I had a K. And you might realize here, the K is weird. For a decade now, in After Effects, when I apply a stroke the way I do to the font I use, the K gets this very strange clipped corner. We're really in the weeds here. Please, enjoy this. But Maddie yelled wrong from the other room. Humor me on this. The K is clipped. Right? Like, it's just wrong. It is just structurally wrong, but that's how the Netrunner Kid K has been forever. And so now the normal K that Illustrator puts out, the regular uncut K, looks weird to me. And the problem is undo click ends with a K. So we have to make a really big branding decision whether we're going to erase the like broken K from Metropole Grid style guidelines or we're going to do a regular K, because to me the regular K looks wrong, but to you, you probably haven't noticed and appreciated this part of the 10-year-long branding. Sorry, but your glyph got patchworked. I don't know what to do about this. It's honestly a roadblock where Maddie's like, you have to make a decision. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. My branding is wrong. I can't unsee it, but like I've seen that. And if there's a undo click on a piece of apparel or a badge, is it gonna look busted, or are you gonna have to tell people, well, actually the stroke is wrong because of After Effects? Now that you pointed out, I hate it. God damn it, Kato. That's what Maddie wants to hear. Really big branding decision. We're starting to print things. Like I don't want to print a K and then be like, this is not accurate. Is that a font thing or an offset miter? I honestly don't know, Saf. Like I'm not a big font person. I just like cranked in Moncrita Pursuit NC and put a stroke on it, and every single time it's totally replicable. After Effects just eats the K corner. Just fucking snarfles up the K. Like I don't know why. And now it's burnt into the branding. It's not brand essential. It is for undo click. I don't know why this is, and it's been like that for literally since the channel started. Maddie just yelling, someone stop him. Please, let me know. Nobody cares about this. Clearly no one cares about this but me, and I'm in my personal hell trying to figure out what to do. But like the other corner, like the other corner of the K is exact same structure, and it's clearly all there. It's 100% intact K. Thomlong won't get, Thomlong is safe. In fact, Thomlong has gone out of the way to un-K itself. Like Thomlong is totally brand safe. In my After Effects, straight up snarf in it, and by it I mean my uncut K. Wait, Jenny, did you try replicate this in After Effects? What's your Moncrita K looking like? How about undo click with a Q? Kevin Quasdale. Kevin, how's it going? What about undo turn? Undo turn we can't do. We know that undo turn is bad. We don't do undo turn anymore. I kind of want to do the t-shirt kind of like the Torsaw Grid one. It just says Torsaw Grid like a couple times in a row. Just like undo click 4 times in a row because it's really funny. Could you open the font? Moncrita? Yeah. Like my font is fine. Wait, how do I open the font manager? Font settings? Just looking up Jorkin and meme? Okay, maybe don't. Type search, available fonts, Moncrita. How did they not show me type here to preview font? Okay, well, hold on. We got this. Screen capture. Hello? Screen capture? Why can you not see my font window? Oh, it doesn't capture the Windows window? Oh, that's weird. Okay. Time to switch fonts. There's no way. So I have a settings window here. You can't see it on screen. This is really bad content. But if I type K, the K is fine. You have to trust me on this. The K is fine in the preview window, but obviously it's not with a stroke. Switch fonts. You know, the one that defines your channel? You know, the Netrunner font? Your alternative is to fix every thumbnail with a K. This is why we haven't made merch in 7 years, because damn K hiding out in the corner. Yeah, it's definitely the stroke. I don't know why. Anyways, if there's no merch at Worlds and I just don't show up, that's why. I'm at home cutting the Ks off of all the nice things Maddie's made. I'm just fixing the Ks by hand with my scissors, and I'm bad at scissors. Anyways, this honestly has been a problem, and I wanted to run it past y'all, so please let me know. It's probably sorry? Maddie's asking for help too. It's pretty bad. I'd probably a stroke because some fonts have the wrong edges defined. Yeah, it's probably in there. But the thing is, like, Maddie, you did the font in Illustrator and it was fine. So it's like After Effects only 2024. There's no way this looks as bad as you think it does, but it's about giving up on your branding. It's like, sorry? Do you have the K screenshot? Okay, Maddie actually has the proper K screenshot. I'll show you on it. What is this font? It's Moncurita Pursuit, which is like the fundamental Netrunner font. It is the same font that Null Signal Games uses for a lot of stuff. Like, it is the font that, if I'm not mistaken, Null Signal Games uses for card titles. Used it before them, but it was also used in original Netrunner, like FFG Netrunner. After Effects has some issues with sharp corners. Yeah, it's almost definitely it. They use it on their articles. Yeah, they use it in a bunch of things. Maddie's gonna, I think, send us over what the real K looks like, and you tell me if that K looks terrible. I think it does. It's in the title of Moncurita Pursuit, so like you've seen it. It is a K. I cannot replicate it in Affinity. Yeah, whatever. Well, it's not like we don't use After Effects for literally everything. I do not know how to use Photoshop. I want to be very clear. Every thumbnail I make is in After Effects. I have no idea how to use Photoshop. I can use Illustrator a bit, but I'm an After Effects guy. I do everything in After Effects. If someone says like, make me art, I'll be like, okay, here we go. Open up my motion graphics software. Like, I have my own demons to fight. Okay, Maddie sent it. What? Yeah, Kato, I don't know stuff. I'm a motion graphics artist. I don't know how to use Photoshop. What am I going to use Photoshop for? Andre's so deeply invested in AE, it's impressive. Yeah, I need to show you my rig for making thumbnails. It's very good in After Effects, and he uses 3D and everything. It's great. Thank you. Thanks, Maddie. So the coloring is not sold here, but like, that K looks so fricked up to me. Like, this has a sticker outline, so you can pull it off a sticker page. We're going to do this in different colors. I think I want to make the slash bar in a different color, but like, Andre, I need to show you my rig. That K looks normal? Yeah, okay. You just outed yourself, Kat, as like somebody who's not invested in the Metropole Grid brand guidelines. It's a good K. It's a fine K. It's a normal ass K. I know it's a normal K, but to me it looks wrong. This is my problem. Andre, that's right. Yeah, of course it's right. It's the program not doing it bad. But it's been 7 years. No one has said weird K, bro. So like, how? Maddie, we're probably going to do the normal K. I honestly feel bad. I feel really bad about this. Wait, that K basically looks normal? It's because it is, Jeff. It is a normal K. It's because that's what the K is meant to look like. But for me, the K is meant to look like someone took shears to it. Because classically, After Effects has been taking shears to the corner. Look at it. It has like, it's trimmed. It's not spiky. It's safe for children. They're not going to hit their head on it. Does it look more normal if you remove the white border? Nah. It's just too sharp up here. This top right corner is just too sharp. It's just too aggressive. Personal evolution deck. I go for my F-line sesh once a week. Like, no. I'm on Team Short K Tron. Let's go. I finally see it. Yeah, it's been there forever. Stabby K, K hash. What does K hash mean, Ian? You can round it a touch if that's Illustrator. I do not wish to round it because then that goes against the rest of the style guidelines. Like round edges. I don't want similar characters to kind of have the same slice. I don't know what that means. I think the problem now is everyone else just had their brain filling in the cutoff K. Everyone else just had their brain filling in the cutoff K in your other branding. Now that you've drawn attention to it, we can start saying weird K, bro. And I'm not fixing it because I literally cannot fix it in the thumbnails. I'm not learning Photoshop. Just no way. Okay. The merch will have a K that I'll hate forever. And we're all going to be okay with that. That'll be our little secret. Weird K, bro. Yeah, Maddie says thanks, Andre. Yeah, thanks, Maddie. She's really happy about this because it's less headache because then I have to export all the Ks from After Effects and manually ship her like a patch of Ks that she can insert in her work. Vectorize the image and erase the corner. No, literally, I'm just going to cut the corners off all the things Maddie prints out. I'm going to make my own with a weird K. No one's going to know. She says she can cut the K, but she doesn't want to. It's fine. Good thing you don't need Photoshop for this. It's a job for Illustrator. It is definitely Illustrator. Maddie did that in Illustrator where it looked great. Weird K bro and a tiny font in the corner of the merch. Oh my god. Thanks, Maddie. Weird K? No one's gonna understand this. It's like a little segment on this. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we can make a pin. There'll be like 3 of them. If someone would be like, what is that? I'll be like, no explanation necessary. And the K is gonna be broken. Yeah, it'll be the bad K. 419, I sleep. Scrub, we've had such a good time with 419 today. Time to get Weird K t-shirts for Worlds. Yeah. See you, Maddie. Anyways, we've honestly, like, this is what I don't know. It's like, how many people want to buy merch? Should I bring merch? Like, it's something I haven't touched with because it is honestly a fair bit more stress than I want it to be. But I know people want like nice Metropole Grid stuff, and it's nice to go to an event and have a souvenir, and like, that's great. So we'll just do it. I just joined. What on earth is happening? I have a bit of a breakdown about my like branding and how After Effects is interacting with strokes on a K. Oh, Wolf 2 is a really good pin. Yeah, I need to get the Rango, Cat's Eye Rango Wolf Eye. Gonna need a Weird K, bro, Matt. Andre staring at me, Matt. Okay, we have a bit of time left this evening. So I think we're just gonna play some 419 because it's not enough time to build a deck. We're like an hour to midnight. There'll be more video stuff coming up consistently on this channel. It never stops, which is pretty great. So NPC stuff is coming up. Next week, we have a guest dropping in on Tuesday for a bit to show off some really cool stuff from the Nana NSG side. And then we're gonna be playing Startup mostly next week. So I can't resist making more K jokes. Poor self-control. I need to make the flip merch. Yeah. There you go, Catwolf Rango. Yeah, Catwolf Rango is great. Also, this is a thing that let me reframe. I am not able to use the logos from Null Signal Games' work on merch, right? Like, we're just saying that because that's obvious, right? Like, I can't use a credit symbol. I can't use the criminal logo, right? Like, I can't do that, right? Right? Pretty sure I can't. And I'm not saying I'm gonna. If I can, I can't. I'm just really lucky the problem letter's a K. Imagine it was an M. Who's gonna stop you? Null Signal Games? Because I'm at their event selling stuff. I'm imagining. Levy AR lab access to Weird K. Let me check the license. I'm pretty sure it says to not use it on other stuff. You can't use the NSG, but the loophole is that you can't use any FFG. But you can't just use any FFG trademark you want. I would not in good conscience sell stuff that has FFG's art on it without permission for obvious reasons. But like, I do want the Sure Gamble on a pin. I think the Q option is the best one. As long as you aren't selling. Oh, I'm not reading that. Let's get back into it. Bless you, Maddie. Oof. We're gonna make a lot of buttons. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to do a little DIY project. Then I don't know whether I take them with me or if I send them to the like Null Signal Games store address thing for Worlds. Undo click. You can use the NSG icons. What? Jeff? Really? Huh? I can make the, like, I can remake the old credit t-shirt with the Null Signal Games credit. There was this classic t-shirt that Quentin Smith from Shut Up and Sit Down wore many times on camera, which is just a great t-shirt that had the big white credit in the middle. It was made by a guy from America on a store that just sold that. And I was like, where's that from? I found it. I bought one. That store didn't exist for that much longer. I have the shirt. It's too small. It shrunk. I got bigger. But it is just like a really nice shirt. Just great t-shirt. Big old white credit in the middle. Big fan. But apparently we can just build that again with Null Signal Games as credit. Show the shirt. Honestly, yeah, okay. I think. That's it. I'm a simple guy. I don't need a big graphic. That was the t-shirt. And I would wear this all the time because like it's subtle enough people won't be like, what is that? Well, no, they usually do, but it's the sort of thing like if they know, they know. And I like that. It's kind of cool. Yeah. And this was like a popular enough t-shirt. There was a whole bunch of like Netrunner merch, like the Run R&D shirts and the Run DMC font. These are like the era of FFG unofficial like clothing. Yeah, apparently Jeff says we can use icons, Maddie. So you agree not to violate EDI, not mix the assets with FFG things, and a few other things. Oh, okay. Evening, would you like some pure jank? Oh, hey, evening. It's up to you. To you. I'm playing the deck list of the week. It's a more competitive deck than not. That seems like a diplomatic way to say it's a good deck. Heaven save me. All right. Asa. Oh, cool. That's an interesting matchup. We have a miss. Wow, we have no miss bones in this deck? No, that can't be right. We have 2, right? What the heck? Aaron? Why do we have no miss bones in this deck? Perihelion took a mulligan. We have Doof Boomerang, which is not great early because Asa can duck on assets. Chesva can be okay on centrals. I don't love this hand. I feel like we can do better than this. Like an early mining accident, face check mining accident is okay. Our opponent can recover pretty aggressively if they just get off of fully op, so it might not be easy to pin on a lower credit total. Where do you think the reprise slots that came from? Excuse me, the reprise slots. There's a bit on NSG website, hover a boat, that explains the usage terms of the visual assets and gives you access to SVGs. Yeah, I have those SVGs. I thought it said not to replicate them for commercial use. Maybe I'll reread it, but thank you, Cror. Also, for what it's worth, the NSG assets on the NSG website are still labeled, like the files are still called Nisei. That's a minor thing to fix, but it is true. You can get Aumakua though. Yeah, I like Aumakua. That's a better hand, I think. I like an open Mystic. I like a Bravado for the remote. The endless struggle of rebranding. Yeah, I know. It's really, really hard. But I think all my files are still called like Nisei something. Ah, 419. Double install is pretty good against 419. Gets you that click compression for installing. You get the second install first because it's the win install trigger and they're installed. It's Rashida. We're going to try and contest that. Ice HQ, good doofed respect. So if we had a pinhole here, it would be great. So not too much we can do about this. We can Bravado. It has to be an end the run ice here. So Gatekeeper, we want to get that out of the way as a list that is on Diversion. Could be an MIC. Well, I'll just send it. Hopefully we top deck and we just draw into a pinhole. No further action. What the heck is this remote server? That's a free Shida. Okay. So getting Mystic down is fine. We don't need a Dirty Laundry this turn. Chesva is like not that important. We need to set up to get to our draw cards. It's a reprise. Did our nice opponent mulligan? They did. I didn't say best of luck, have fun. I think we just draw once and put that Mystic. We're going to need to spend a fair bit of time drawing. Mining accidents only on central servers. That's about to be really good for us. All this banding trouble is because we got banned rebranding team out of Ocarina. I'm going to ask NSG, maybe Jeff, I need to ask NSG, because I think I feel really weird if I'm just selling pins that are just blue with the criminal logo on it. Like, I feel like that's not my gig to sell. So I'll talk to NSG, right? The deck does not use twinning at all, Jenny. Our only multi-axis is 1 Docklands Pass, and I think 1 Waken Plan. It might be 2 Docklands Pass. It's an off-world office in the remote server. That's aggressive. There's a lot of ways this doesn't go well for them, but we actually have none of those. Advance as well, so they only have 4 credits. This is weak to Boomerang. It's weak to Diversion. We just don't have what we need in our hand to punish this. Now, if we force a res on this ice, they probably can't score out. So I'm assuming we can, like, well, we could reprise. We could run the remote server, see what happens. Then ideally, like, Dirty Laundry R&D, Mining Accident, reprise, something like that. I think we'd actually rather run HQ. They mulligan, so they might have another agenda in hand. They're not just giving us points, right? Okay, that's fine. That doesn't do anything. That's an interesting drafter. They could install a Managarm from hand, which we're totally equipped to deal with. This also does fire 419 one more time. I didn't pay attention whether they did 419, unfortunately. Oh, they showed us an off-world office. Of course they did. All right, so they have a Rashida in hand. They can over-install the agenda. That just goes to archives. Apparently it's going to archives. We'll expose the Rashida. So that's a free agenda. We get a free reprise. That turns off the drafter. We just blow up their board state. Oh, this is really, really bad for them. Yeah, this is really quite bad for them. We got to do literally everything we want. We can Dirty Laundry the archives, gain 4 credits, steal the 4-2, reprise the drafter, run R&D. We'll Mining Accident and just reprise. I don't think we need to be greedy. The Mining Accident is slightly greedy. They obviously can't pay for this, so we get a bad publicity. That's really important. And then we'll just blow up the drafter and run R&D. We can't steal Aumakua, but Actually, HQ is much better. But the fact that the drafter's back in there is just more likely that there's a 1 in 4. It's probably better than 1 in 5 on R&D. Worst case, fine. Yeah, reprise. Pretty good. Just a good card. Click for 3. Okay, so Doof is a strong thing. Centrals are open. We need to get our card draw engine. That is a really great draw. I'm not really happy to put on Chesva. We don't need it. Sure Gamble's good. We could just do Sure Gamble, Earthrise. It's fine. We don't actually have to do the Sure Gamble here. But once we install this, we'll go down pretty low. So we might as well just get this out of the way. Always hit the bounce card. Always hit the Tattoo Bola. Always hit the bounce card. You know how it is. You've played this game before. Aumakua would be really nice now because we'd love to be able to get pressure. A lot of 419 decks are actually on 3 Aumakuas to get as consistently as possible. We will mutual favor for an Aumakua if we have the option. I would like Gamble become cheaper. We're not going to struggle to play an event next turn, so I don't think we actually really have to hold the Gamble. The only reason that holding the Gamble is interesting is that our opponent might think we don't have a lot of money and then make some sort of play around that. Sometimes you want to hide it, but I don't mind this. We're going to definitely get an event off the Earthrise Hotel. They prevented the install expose. Okay. So one of these is probably a drafter. Drafter installing Rashida Hedge Fund. Not the best. We have a Carmen. Carmen's really bad though into drafter. It's just not very good. So how do we make pressure here? We top deck an Aumakua? That's not good enough. That's good. They don't look like they have seamless launch considering that they pre-installed, or sorry, they pre-advanced the off-world office, but it's been a couple turns. I think here we can just get on the Carmen cheaply enough so we can face check if we need to. But with bad publicity, Carmen technically is a bit cheaper to get through the drafter. Cheswa doesn't really help that much. I don't think we need to use the falsified here, so we're not in a rush to do it. Oh, what's our next turn? Now we probably should have drawn once here. That's fine. Actually, draw one here is much better because we could find an Aumakua. Draw. Yeah, it doesn't change that much. And then we'll just install the Carmen. Braun, okay. Comes down cheaper. It means we can face check into drafter in a panic. But they need something really good here. So Seamless into a 4-2 or obviously Luminal is always very good. Okay. Probably the Braun, which like can't really afford that. A Hermes would be a good draw sooner than later. It's the Braun. Okay. So upgrades, not a Tranquility. So we have some incentive to run that. We have the Hermes now and we have a mutual favor. So there's a lot of ways we can work with this. Is there an agenda in hand? Might be. We can mutual favor for an Aumakua. We also know that one of these is an upgrade. We don't really have to falsify this. I'm assuming here we can, if they res the Braun, they can't run the remote server. So we can always do that threat. We can do Hermes run R&D. If they res the Braun, we just run server 1. And that technically allows them to misplay into us. I'm okay with that. Them resing the Braun is good because they have a Braun res on R&D, but we'll get enough pressure done that they can't really afford to res this. An agenda here would be really rough for them. Okay, Tattoo Bola. So now I think we mutual favor for the Aumakua. Our credits are not fantastic. We can run now, not the remote server so much. Maybe they do a Rashida here. I'll just run archives just to get Aumakua counters. Because with Cheswa and Aumakua counters, like run R&D is totally free. Run HQ becomes totally free. Holloman, whoa, that's expensive. Very cool. So off-world office is what they need to be back here. Very, very good. Choose an unresed card. So removing the Braun is one thing. I think we'll definitely bounce this. I think we run HQ. I don't love Gatekeeper last click. I don't want to actually break a drafter. I'd rather get the Aumakua to 3. Breaking drafter is a bit too expensive. Now, to some extent, bouncing the ISA on here is like not the easiest because now they can get a double ISA install. If we bounce the HQ ice, they just install one ISA on HQ. They probably don't double HQ. HQ smells Hagen-ish. Yeah, that's another problem is Hagen's a bad face check. Icing up archives is really good for them. They're on 7. So here we just run R&D to get counters. If they res there's a Mystic or another mining accident coming down, we obviously have to deal with the Holloman, and we think the drafter is probably here or back in hand. So let's get to Hagen will be 4 strength. Our card draw has run out. If they res this, that's a lot of money, and then they lose the Holloman. They probably get mining accidented. This is a very expensive res. And sometimes with Hermes, like you're incentivized to res in places you wouldn't be 100% comfortable because getting the bounce is obviously really bad into a bunch of different things going on in this matchup. Bracing, ooh, good draw. So Hagen's bad for us. They could fast events a 4-2. I mean a 3-2. I think we have to start taking some risks. Let's just get to 3 strength on the Aumakua, if not to 4 strength. Hey, Matt, are you okay? Did you hit the shovel? I heard when you closed the door, it felt like... Oh, that's good. It sounded like you tripped. Are you okay? Okay. Fine. Great. So now we can take down the Holloman. And then we can play Mining Accident for free. So we'll do them in the other order. So Braun, they can install a card from hand. That's totally fine. They now can't do anything. They can't even play Greasing. So we'll play this for free. That's the second bad publicity, and we'll just take down the Holloman. We now have 2 bad publicity, so now with Chesva, all centrals, unless we get locked out, which is good that we actually have 2 breakers. We're in an okay spot. They still have fully ops. They have a Greasing coming up. Tattoo might be on archives, could be the drafter. But they can't do much here besides click for credit. So now also, very importantly, we can farm server 1. It is a server that we breach, which means that we do get the Aumakua counters. So if it's archives, you can run. It's a drafter. It's a bit ugly, but we have 2 bad publicity, so we break it for 2 out of pocket. So we can do Chesva, run archives. This is where we also need to keep drawing a bit because we need more card draw cards. Yeah, it actually might be fine here to just install Classic and click for 3. The other option is get pressure on and then install Classic next turn. This is a bit ugly because we already drew. So we can do Chesva, run HQ. They've gone through 13 cards. We're assuming there's another agenda in hand. We know that they're going to Greasing next turn, so he's going to push off that way. We can do credit. I should have thought about it, not clicked it. I should have said it, but I clicked it. We install Class Act. We go down to 2 credits with Class Act Mystic on 2. We can probably recover. Hagen's 4 credits. Therese. 4 credits, 4 strength, because we have 2 breakers. Not great. Don't love the turn. We might be able actually to recover if Class Act gets us something. So here he likely Greasings. Okay, draw. So we know Tattoo, possibly Greasing, Drafter are possibilities, and one of those is on the table. Okay, Greasing, good start. With 2 bad publicity, all we need to do is get our Aumakua counters up. Okay, double in the server. So Virus is also potentially an issue. We have Kurapira, which deals with Ablative. We want to res Ablative sooner than later. One of those is a Tranquility Home Grid. I'm assuming it's the innermost one, which is good that we have Falsified, which gets our Aumakua to 4. Low fully op, love to see that, but now he has money. So Trank is the bottom one, right? So here, I think we can do Falsified, run server 1. We definitely want to deal with what's in the remote server and the Tranquility on top of it. Just trashing the Tranquility is more work for us. I'm assuming it's the bottom one. Thank you. All right, we'll Falsify to 4. So Gatekeeper still gets us, but we're hard to deal with that. But now we can at least deal with Hagen. We'll run server 1. We have 12 credits and 2 bad publicity. I guess Mining Accent exists because of Miss Bones. Like, we don't need Miss Bones. It's a Tattoo. Okay, so we could bounce off of this. There's a chance. We know he has an ice in hand for sure. Pone was probably meant to pre-res the Trank. It's a bit niche. Maybe. You could. We would go for the other one. The Tattoo Bola is definitely going to swap and either for another Tattoo Bola. That's kind of cool because it fires 419, which we're okay with it. I think we will break this. We need to get down the Tranquility Home Grid. I would love a Miss Bones here, though. It's probably like somewhere between 5 and 8 credits to trash all this stuff. So this install with swap, which we know they have in hand, does fire 419, which is kind of cool. Getting our Aumakua up to 6 obviously matters when we run R&D for free with Braun Chesva. So it's another Tattoo Bola. So we know drafters on R&D. Or, I'm sorry, on archives. So we know... Oh, and Asa. It's a Spin Doctor. Okay, so this is probably the drafter. Let's see if they use the Spin Doctor. He doesn't. I don't actually want to trash the Spin Doctor. I just want to trash the Tranquility. Spin Doctor can stay. Okay, so we get the 5 on Aumakua. We want to run HQ here because he just drew into an HQ. Gatekeeper is 1 more. It's hard for us to deal with that. We could run Archives. Oh, we probably do Chesva first, then run HQ. Oh, but then we're not playing Class Act. Yeah. Actually, Chesva's probably not necessary. It's unlikely that we're going to pay more than 2 credits off of bad publicity. Holy shit, that's good. That's pretty good. Luckily, we have a Carmen. So we break this for 1 credit. Christ. Very almost good. Very good. Do we have to break all this? Hardware, resource, yeah, we want that. Decoder, Fractor, Killer, yeah, we're gonna break all of that. Magnet, okay, so we know Magnet in hand. We think this is a drafter. This could be a drafter too. Purge, sick. They're doing really good. Unfortunately, Chesva runs HQ entirely for free, so we can't just like slow down a bit. We can actually like install Chesva or install Class Act, click for 3. Might be an entirely fine turn here because he might feel comfortable with what he's got going on here. And we can break into HQ relatively easily. So I think we're actually going to take that turn off. Because next turn, we definitely want to play an event with Mystic. So we should find an event here. Harmony. I'm just going to bury the Hermes. These are good ice to reprise, let me tell you. This is where, like, if we had a twinning, right? Like, we'd probably be seeing a lot of cards on Centrals. I think we can barely afford to play a twinning here. But double Chesva is really good here. We're making 6 credits for free to run Central servers. We want to draw our Wake, which we haven't installed in any of the games as much as only a 1 of. But he needs here another hedge fund, which he is playing, or he needs a fully up. Build another server fully up. He says a bit weak to HQ pressure. Okay, it looks like an upgrade. Gotta say, whoever said the criminals are good are getting proved wrong. The criminals are they're quite all right. HB is generally a good matchup. I'm not sure I'm excited to play into Ag Infusion. Yeah, the HB matchups are pretty fun. So we probably draw once here for a Docklands. Okay. No rush for that. And I think we'll just take a single in HQ. We can't steal Ag. This is pretty low value. It does get us an Aumakua counter, which is nice that we work at that every single turn. I don't think we really need a dirty laundry here. I'm just going to run HQ and break this for mostly free. Entirely free. I'm going to try and run HQ at least. That's the idea. Biobands. I don't love the biobands so much. Wait, what robot? Wait, I'm not a robot. I'm a guy. I'm like a guy. Can't run HQ. It's the haircut, right? Natural, even. 4-9's such a cool character. Like, again, the criminals don't feel like shitheads. I want the criminals to feel like shitheads. 4-9's such a shithead. Beans. This is the bad one. This is the one that we said we weren't playing around. Okay, so we know that's in hand. That's probably not going anywhere fast unless he overdraws and gets rid of it with the Spin Doctor. We're pretty sure server 1 is the Trank, likely. We haven't seen a lot of influence. Well, we've seen Hammer, actually. That is 2. This card's really good. Like, this is a game-losing face check on some board states. Like, legitimately game-losing face check. Okay. So now Archives is the server that we can probably make Aumakua counters because we think this is a drafter, and a drafter is a really not great res. It's a magnet. Okay, that's fine. If we force him to res a magnet, he has 1 credit. That's good for us overall. And ideally here now we'd need a multi-axis card, so we're definitely going to draw. I think we're going to buy Band's Archives. Spin Doctor used. Okay, so he's going to put something in the remote server. We know the Ico is in hand, and we know there's something in the remote server. He's on 5 credits. We can break no Hoggins unless we install the Kurapira. So I think we buy a Band's Archives, and I'm pretty sure he can't res here. We actually get ended the run by any barrier that is a Hagen. Hagen's a blowout here. We'll take a risk. We might not have to. We could have installed the Kurapira, but Hagen is a blowout here. At least at that point, we'll get the remote server for free. Yeah, that makes sense. I think this is the drafter. So draw 2. We have all this Chesva credits to install. Oof. Oh, these are all very good. Magnet also a blowout. That's true. That is true. Yeah, Magnet would be a blowout. Yeah, we saw 1 on HQ, so maybe I'm expecting another one. Mutual Favor here gets us our Magnet Breaker, but I'm hoping we don't need our Magnet Breaker. Bravado and Earthrise are obviously very good. I think we're just going to go for the Earthrise and throw the Mutual to the bottom. Okay, Aumakua's on 3. So we can run HQ. It's going to cost us a bit out of pocket. If we Bravado server 1. This wasn't res, so we can get to 4 strength, which means we can run archives and then we can Bravado our server 1. If we Bravado server 1, we cannot click through Aumakua. But I want to get to 4 just to respect Hagen, I think. It also technically respects, not that we strictly need to, but if there is an on-sell. Don't we want to click for Managarms too? We do, but I think I want to get to 4. I'd rather respect the Hagen. Like, if P res is an Managarm, it's like, whatever. Oh, so there's a Tattoo Bola into Tattoo Bola. Oh, that sucks. I think we give up and try to win off Centrals. I don't want to do the double Tattoo Bola server. Because these are both... Oh, this actually could be the only tattoo, but this was a tattoo to be res, so this is a double Tattoo Bola server. I think we actually bounce off of this. Because we think he's a tattoo in hand, tattoo here, here. They can't score. He could score if he has Seamless, but this... I don't know. I think we just let this bounce, though. I don't want to let this tattoo fire. We have 1 click left. We could draw. We already have drawn this turn. We could run archives for another Aumakua counter. Andre want an art scoop? Yeah, I always do. Like, do you want to stream art scoop? Is that what you're asking, Kat? I think the stream likes your art scoops. Do you just need a proofreader, Kat? Broke Tattoo Bola enjoyers when you say fire unbroken. Yeah, it feels so bad. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no, it was bad. It was very, very bad. We should have gone for it. Oh, no, that's not good. Okay, they're on game point, and we can lose pretty quickly because of the Holloman. So we could have contested that. And into a purge. The purge doesn't matter when there's 0 credits. I actually do not like purges when archives is open. I think that's usually a mistake. We'll see how much that matters. Okay, I think we're just going dirty laundry. We'll get more value from the Bravado, but we can just dirty laundry archives. Again, we know there's a thing in HQ, so actually we should dirty laundry HQ, let's be honest. Because if we reprise R&D, the game's going to be totally cooked. We didn't draw into any of our multi-axis yet. But this is a free run. And we know there's an Aumakua holding on in here. There probably won't be another agenda. We've seen 4 agendas in the top 20. We can also deal with the upgrade, but Tattoo Bola we probably don't want to. Nico campaign. Yeah, I'll trash it for 1. Okay. Now we need to get Aumakua counters. Spend that bad pub? We did. Oh, you're right. We should spend it before the Chesva. You're 100% correct. We should have spent it before the Chesva for obvious reasons. It turned out to be fine. I just want to get Aumakua up to counters. Actually, we don't need to get Aumakua counters. This is not super important. It's sometimes kind of funny how Tattoo is the hyper-resilient property that a few other ice do, like unbreakability, or the fact that his text is just so damn good. We don't Harmony here, right? Like, I don't want these cards back in the deck. I think we should just run HQ again. We should probably Bravado HQ. Like, this is not that expensive. It's 3 credits, and we know there's a 1 in 4 here. Yeah, there we go. That's huge. So we have a reprise turn. Oh, but we can't reprise. Andre, you can't reprise anymore. The game's going to be over. I definitely shouldn't have ran archives. That's obviously my mistake. And maybe bouncing that is actually incorrect. Bounce S1. I like Bounce S1. They're likely to reinstall it. But yeah, that's probably a bit better for us. We think it's an upgrade. We know it's probably a Managarm. You just help the corp? I don't, abstractly, but probably not actually. Okay, we get the Wake down. That's really important. This Earthrise is good. I don't think we need another Boomerang, so I think we just do the Wake. If it hits the Kurapira, YOLO. Please hit the Reprise. Fantastic. That's better. Gatekeeper, okay. Aumakua is on 2. So here we could Harmony for free to get some value cards back in the deck. We actually still have 3 diversions in 16, which is going to be pretty important for this game. I think that's actually worth doing something. We also still run HQ here for only 1 credit. Getting more Wake Implant charges seems good. I'll draw once. There could be a second Aumakua in hand actually, so I'll draw after. It's fine. Draw for Doof. Yeah, we'll get to the draw last click. We have Earthrise still. Hammer, good to know. Nice. Yeah, the Doof is going to be a really big turn now. They can still res like Mana Garms in server 1, but if they don't have money, like here, they need to score on an Aumakua, and that's very difficult to do. The deck might be on 1 Seamless, but it's, as we know, on Holloman as a win condition. So if he just clicks for 3 credits, it's a really, really bad spot. And we've seen so far 1 fully out. What you got? Might be a tattoo. It's an Ablative Barrier. That's a really good install. Card on remote server. Oof. It's really good. So I think we want to go for the Doof here. It gets Awaken Plant charge. Then we can get Aumakua to 6. We can see the top 3 of the deck. Could be a Spin Doctor, could be Rashida. We still have 2 pinholes in the list, and we still have... Nice. Click for 4. Okay. I think we just do Doof here. Third Mining Accident is a bit greedy. So we'll Doof, and then based off of what's not rezzed, we can get some more counters. It's a bit cheaper now. Aumakua's on 4. It's a lot cheaper. Four-star Code Gates, actually, sorry, Sentries. Carmen's really good into. We'll take the money. So res of the Mana Guard makes sense. That doesn't work. Sorry. Oh, you're right. Sorry. I have to use my real breaker. Yeah, you're 100% right. Because I can't. It says if you don't break it with killers. 100. I was being way too smart. Very good. AR breakers can't break hammer. They can. You just can't break all of it, which obviously we want to. Thought I forgot how hammer worked. It's not enforced on JNet. So we can either take the 2 credits or take the Axis. No matter what, we're getting the Awaken Plant charge. Take the money. Now we can run Archives. Why do we leave 1 coffee credit? Because we have 2 bad pub. And otherwise we waste the coffee, right? Because we have 2 bad publicity. We falsified this. We only lose if this is a Rashida. If it was a Nico, it wouldn't have been rezzed. Just run the remote here. No, because it puts them back in the money because they have a Tattoo Bola. I think we can check if it's a Rashida. If it's an agenda, we'll just run it. So we'll say Asset. Wrong order. It's a Rashida. Okay. So now we understand if we run it, they lose 3 cards, but they gain 4 credits. So we could consider running it. Tattoo Bola swaps, and if it's double Tattoo Bola, do we want to take down Rashida and give, like, we want to give him 3 credits and 3 cards or 4 credits? I think we want to just give him 4 credits. And it fires Aumakua because he can't pay for it. Yeah, I think we'll do it. We have to deal with the Mana Garm sooner than later. Four 9 text, yeah. No, he has to give us an Aumakua on 6, which we care for because we want to run R&D next turn and see 4 cards. We don't want to do a last click because of Ikua. But if we lock this, it's hard for him to close the game out. He needs to like fully op and draw cards. And then we still have another Doof waiting. So like we're in a good spot. Exposes Gatekeeper. Cool. And we have the money to pay. This feels good. This feels really good. This deck just feels good. It feels really fun. We haven't played into any Glacier. Like we've been playing into the matchups where it's pretty reasonable. It's another Tattoo. This one's only 2 credits. Doesn't feel as bad. It's fine. So there's a Tattoo in hand, which is probably here. So this is a Gatekeeper. This will be a Tattoo Bola. There'll be a Tattoo Bola in HQ. Again, with Chesva and bad publicity, we don't actually need that big money. We might as well. So our opponent doesn't have a scoring server, needs to purge at some point. This deck might be on a virus. Again, we've seen influence on 2 hammers and a Holloman, which is already a fair bit of influence, and obviously Spin Doctor. That's like a 10 to 11 influence. So Mavirus still could sneak in there, but luckily we have a Carmen as a backup breaker. Hagen can get us by surprise, but there's actually a chance the deck that's on a hammer doesn't have to play Hagen. So we're assuming that's Tattoo Bola into Tattoo Bola. Yeah, no worries. Of course. Is Nana still there? Oh, she just popped out. Okay, Ice on HQ makes sense. Otherwise, there's no protection against diversion. We'll probably find out this is a Tattoo Bola. Yeah, there you go. That's okay, because we can run R&D and see like 4 cards. The only downside is if maybe they put something in this remote server and it's a Mav, and if that's the case, we'll just click through the Brawn anyways. So here we can just go see R&D. They did Ice HQ, but the chance of us not hitting something off the top of R&D is pretty low. Like, this is a lot of cards. Run R&D doof. We don't really want to doof here. We don't have a really incentive to. Yeah, there you go. GG. Man, we missed the reprise. The reprise would have been really good. Thanks for the game. Yeah, we felt in control for almost all of that. I think there are some scary face checks we have to take, especially Hagen. Yeah, but that's a really fun game. Yeah, hey, cheers. Very, very nice. And again, credits gained 109, credits spent 125. A lot of that's bad publicity, right? Like, you just get so much money running with 2 bad publicity against the Corpse 51. Right? Like, we're just playing with house money. It is so much money. So then this gets bounced. Obviously, then we can go for it. We can trash that if we really want to. We don't really need to. They draw another brown, which is useless. The Luminal was like the really good play they made. Maybe we should have gone through the Tattoo Bolas. I think that's the one big blowout. If it's Rashida, we're fine. But like, we still have so much gas this turn. Like, now we can Diversion HQ if we want to. They're down to 2 credits. Obviously, we went off the Hermes bounce, so it doesn't really matter. But like, what's left in our deck? 2 Pinholes is important. Mining Accident on the bottom, we know that we put that there. Docklands would be good if we drew that a bit earlier, and then we still have a Diversion. Like, we still have a fair bit of gas left. We just, all the money we have is now Chesva and Bad Pub and Mystic, which is like just enough to close the game out. Very, very cool stuff. All right, it's gotten late. Really fun stream. We had a great stream this weekend. Oh, hold on. False alarm. We'll get back to that. But we have an art surprise. Give me 1 second. For stream, Cat? Oh, yo, this is sick. Cat's been painting. Sorry, my face is on it. That's what a Cloud Eater looks like. So I'm so stoked, Cat, that you picked this Cloud Eater hype stream. Because this Cloud Eater, the way that it's previewed, the text box, the Cloud Eater wraps around it. So can you see my mouse? You can't see my mouse. Why can't you see my mouse? Weird how that'd be. Oh, now you can. But the Cloud Eater art box, like the text, it wraps around the thing. So there's like text here. There's like the title here. This is really, really sick. Cat's been doing some great stuff. All this stuff will be available at Worlds. This is the massive Cloud Eater. Maybe without a Nancy in the format, this will be even more relevant. But this is my favorite of the 3 poses we saw. This is turning out so great, Cat. Fantastic stuff. The stuff will be available at Worlds, mind you. Cat has a store at some point. They might update it, but obviously they do great art. I think y'all know that. Amazing. Yeah, really, really good. Very colorful too. In the clouds. Just great stuff. Cat also has the alt art from Worlds, the Worlds prize support, the Bladderwort, which is also super charming. Hey, Nutshell, I showed up in a good time. This is a sweet piece. Isn't that great? It's quite good. We've got some like sneak preview Cat arts as they work late on Thursday evenings, which is great. Rip whoever I get to do my shopping. Yeah, I know. There's always going to be that designated person to send in to be like, pick up a whole bunch of this stuff. Also, Jamie, the rules stuff had a lot of conversation. It took me a while to get through it, but very, very interesting. Great stream. Some very swingy 419 gameplay was nice to watch. Yeah, it's really fun. Like 419 is fun. You make plays. You get to do all the cool stuff that like you want Criminal to do, where like you set up something and you capitalize, you find a weakness and you poke on it. Like I think 419 makes it a bit more obvious because it slows the game down, and obviously we're playing reprise. Well, that's like where the fun of run-based Criminal is there. Sorry, I couldn't make it that part of the stream. No. Hey, and like what an article. Like so much writing in there for sure. Just like an absolute essay. So well done putting that together. Huge thank you to all these names and more. Again, the Metropole Grid, we're supported on Patreon. So much time goes into this channel, whether it's live streaming, of course, or editing and motion graphics, or all the other stuff that's going on behind the scenes. We have a video coming out tomorrow morning. We have a video coming out on Saturday. We have a video coming out on Monday. Then we have 2 live streams. Like, it's not going to stop. So it's honestly would not be possible without the support. So all these names here, and of course our Daily Cast patrons whose names don't appear here, all that is incredibly appreciated. It just, yeah, would not be possible if you like Netrunner content like this. You can check it out. The link is in the description. Also, if you want to take a second to like the stream, share, subscribe, all this stuff also really helps on YouTube. That is like incredibly helpful, and it's a very simple thing to do. Shout out also to some new Patreons. At the top, we had Arthur, who joined recently as a Daily Cast, or sorry, as a Sure Gamble patron. We also have Olasam, who just joined like a day ago, if not, I think just yesterday. Olasam's name is there. Thanks so much for all the folks who are joining. It's really, really great. Sounds like you're always gonna be running. Yeah, we're not gonna stop. Next week again, we're gonna be playing Startup. On Tuesday, we'll be dropping in. We'll have a guest dropping in to show off some cool Null Signal Games stuff. It'll be I think a small enough thing, but most of that week is gonna be Startup. We're gonna be playing a whole bunch of Startup, figuring out what that looks like, which is gonna be kind of fun because I haven't played the format and we're excited to see how that goes. Otherwise, that is mostly it. Enjoy if you're playing tomorrow and New Zealand Nationals online. It's an online tournament. You don't have to be from New Zealand. You don't have to be a Kiwi to play. I was trying to say New Zealandese. That's probably not right. Kiwi's not a slur, right? Just checking. You can just say that, right? That's not. That's tomorrow. So if you want to get involved, that starts actually in like less than 24 hours. Actually, maybe a bit more than 24 hours. And that's going to be a really fun online event. Have a good night. Andre getting slur pilled. Oh my God, Ian. I don't want to say Ian's rubbing off on me because like that makes you sound so much worse than you are. Ian's a really nice dude. Asking is how you learn. We'll see you probably just tomorrow actually for a video and then on Saturday, and we'll be back in a bit. Take care, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Ciao. Not a slur. Oh, thank God.